What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome in the middays. Bill Colarulo along with Amy Fadul today.
Hi.
Ray Dunn behind the glass, as always. It's a football Friday, Amy.
A rarity. It's finally back in a preseason way, but it's back. We'll take it. It's going to look like football.
Kind of. Because
Yeah.
the opening kickoff's certainly not going to look like football to a lot of people.
That'll be different.
But we'll get into all of that because the Birds are back going up against an opponent for the first time since we saw them collapse in Tampa in that wild card game. Hopefully this will be the last time we have to remember last year because they're just going to be off to the races, Amy. Nobody's going to be worried about last season after they come out to a hot start. What do you think? Wishful thinking?
Wishful thinking. I think people are just excited, one, to see the Eagles in an actual game situation, whichever Eagles they can see, right? Because we know not all the starters are going to play. But I don't think if they come out and all of a sudden it's 14-0 after the first two offensive drives, they're going to forget all about the collapse. But I think you'll have some good residual, good feelings. Like you'll feel a little bit better about the season upcoming. But you have to. I think you take it all with a grain of salt, right? Because how many starters will you see?
Yeah, and even if they do play the starters, which I don't think they're going to, and we're going to get into what we should be looking for. But even if they do play the starters, I still have visions of Sam Bradford having that unbelievable start under Chip Kelly.
Preseason Super Bowl.
Oh, my God. I watched that preseason game thinking, this is going to be an amazing season. Well, preseason success is not always indicative of regular season success. But Ray Dunn behind the glass today. Good morning, Ray.
Morning. How are you?
Not too bad. Ray had a late one last night, Amy. He did Philly Sports Tonight until 10 o'clock as well. The hardest working man in the business back there.
That's right.
And you're the hardest working woman in the business. I'm just here for the
I was off
ride.
yesterday, so.
Oh, were you?
I was.
What?
Well, I wasn't completely off.
I was going to say.
But I was off from here, and we're doing a 10-year retro, this will date you guys, 10-year retrospective on the Taney Dragons 10 years ago. They made that magical run in the Little League World Series.
Wow, I'm getting old.
I know. So we had some interviews, and so I had to do some things with that to get that story. It'll be airing on Sunday. But yeah, that's where we're at if you want to feel old.
The Little League World Series, Ray. Amy is going to have to take it up with Brendan Gunn because he's not a fan of the Little League World Series. Brendan Gunn hates when he turns on the television and they have the kids playing on ESPN. I think we're going to have to talk to him at the break.
That seems like a person that doesn't have a lot of joy if you're hating on 12-year-old kids playing baseball.
He wasn't the only one on the morning show yesterday that had that thought.
Why? Who else was?
John and Tom.
Oh, come on.
Andrew was the only person that was sticking up for at all
B-Gun's
any
out
Little
here
League.
too.
There he is. He just gave us a double thumbs down.
Yeah.
B-Gun, that's ridiculous.
Find joy in this life. It's
know what that
kids
is?
playing baseball,
kids
man.
playing baseball.
I think B-Gun's just probably jaded that he never got to play at the Little League.
Oh,
That's
so
a good
it's little
point.
jealousy.
Yeah, he couldn't keep up with that 60-mile-per-hour fastball, and that was tough for him.
It's
I get
good
it.
stuff.
Jealousy's not a good look, Brendan Gunn.
Come on, everybody. It's fun.
But
Have a little joy.
we got a lot to get into today. Obviously, it's a football Friday for the first time in a long time, so we'll prepare for the preseason game tonight, who we should be looking out for, who we don't want to see, and we really want to hear from everybody about how much you're actually going to watch of this preseason game, because I am curious if fans just say, hey, wake me up in Brazil, but we'll get into all of that. We got to remember Nick Foles today. We did a little bit of it on the air yesterday, Amy, about because it broke while we were on that Nick Foles is retiring, and the outpouring of support from Philadelphia fans has been incredible. We will always love Nick Foles, especially for the Philly special, a play that has a statue down at Lincoln
As it
Financial
should.
Field.
As
It really should. It really should. So with that in mind, the Philly special for me may be the most memorable play in Philadelphia sports history. But I wanted to throw out to our texters, and we'll get to them throughout the show. Outside of the Philly special, what are your most memorable Philly sports moments? Because there are a lot of them. Unfortunately, not as many as I wish there were since we've only had 2 championships. But even with that said, there's a lot of memories. So we want you to text us in your favorite Philly sports memories, not the Philly special. 610-632-0975. We'll get to those texts throughout the show. Phillies get back in the winning column last night again. Not back in the winning column. They've now won 4 of 5.
What?
4 of 5, Amy. 4 of 5.
We're back, baby.
But you know who else is back? JT Realmuto last night.
You needed to see that. We talked about it was right before, so it was like a week, whatever, earlier this week. All the days run together, but it was before they were kind of getting back on this. So you saw the win in Seattle, and we were kind of excited. Then we had the Dodgers series, and I remember you asking, like, who is someone that you need to see? We talked about who's somebody you need to see. And I remember thinking, like, JT, because he means so much offensively and defensively. Like, you can't have him being on the struggle bus like he had been. So that was really good to see. Kyle Schwarber goes without saying. I think his was just a little bit of a slump. But JT had some real struggles since he had returned from injury. And you worried that there was maybe some lingering effects or what was going on with him because he just hadn't found his groove yet. And seeing that last night, I thought was a real good sign.
On his 10th anniversary, 10-year anniversary of coming into Major League Baseball, so quite a milestone. And he wasn't the only one that showed up last night. Bryce Harper, 3 for 4 last night. You love to see that. And then Trey Turner, although goes 1 for 5, has those big 2 RBIs. Yeah. And that 4th inning there, or excuse me, the 6th inning where they put up 4 runs, they did it all with 2 outs.
Yeah, that's huge. We talk about things that you need to see so you realize this team is either back or is who you thought they were, a team that's going to be able to go deep into the postseason. It's little things like that. It's one of the things that I know you and I have talked about is the small ball, moving the runners over, getting the guys in, doing the little things, small plays that lead to the runs. You didn't see that when they were struggling. You also didn't see them being successful, to your point, with 2 outs. It would be up there, and you're like, it was almost, you just felt it. You were just, okay, well, there's the 3rd out's coming. So I remember thinking last night when I guess they called the pitch clock violation, and Bryce Harper got another pitch, and then he made them pay with the double. That was a single that he turned into a double. And I thought little things like that have to go your way, and you have to really create. And so when you see them doing things like scoring all these runs with 2 outs, that's a really good sign, I thought, going forward.
Yeah, and Montgomery did that a lot last night with pitch clock. He gets close. He gets really
very close.
Really close.
I thought he was going to go ballistic after the Bryce Harper one because Bryce was already done walking away, and then the comes back, and I was like, oh. I thought he maybe was saying foul tip, but then I realized he was talking about the clock, and I was like, yikes.
So I don't want to bring us down because everything was great.
Don't bring us down.
Everything was great last night. Starting pitching from Colby Allard, 2nd straight outing where he looks pretty good. But I'm going to bring us down for 1 sec because I was really starting to feel good about Orion Kirkring. And then he comes out last night, gives up 2 runs, walks 2. He does get out of that inning, but I still don't feel comfortable with Orion Kirkring just yet. The rest of your bullpen, it's set up now. If our starters can go 6,
right,
you have your 7, 8, 9 because you could either go Hoffman or Strahm in the 7th or the 8th, and then you could turn things over to Estevez in the 9th, and you wouldn't even have to see Jose Alvarado or Orion Kirkring. But the chances of every starter come October going 6 full innings is not likely. What do you think's going on with Orion Kirkring?
Yeah, he just looks like he was missing a lot of his pitches to the pinpoint location that we're used to seeing with him when he was going. And these struggles go back actually quite a bit when you look at really overall. He had some good outings, and there was other ones. There was a one that was about 3 weeks ago where I think he gave up 3 earned, and you thought, yikes. And ever since, it was right before then when you first started to see just the velocity was down a little bit, but really his location. He wasn't able to really pinpoint where he wanted the pitch to go. And so I'm sure they've been working on that with him. I would think that's something that he and JT have been trying to talk about. You see a lot of the conversations these guys have, in between the innings. It's harder for the relievers because they have to go out there. They have the conversation right beforehand, and then that's it because those guys are only out there for the 1 inning. So it's interesting to see him have to work out of this. Here's a guy that's very young, not only in age, but in Major League Baseball service. You talked about 10 years for JT Realmuto. Here's a guy that's basically 1 year in the league. So it'll be something that he needs to work out of because if you want to have a long baseball career, these are the things that happen. You have to work your way out of the struggles. Look at a guy like Jeff Hoffman, who was highly touted and never came to be really what he was supposed to be until this year. This is a guy that's not 1 or 2 years, of MLB service, and he's a first-time All-Star, and he's really had a resurgence. So I think it's one of those things that if he can, when he works out of it, it'll be something he can learn from because he will have to go and rely on that in the future, because you're not always going to be 100%. You're not always going to hit every pitch, but you have to learn to bounce back. I saw that with Ranger when he was struggling a little bit. The confidence just wasn't there, the cool as a cucumber type of feeling. So for Kerkering, he has to be able to, that wasn't a great pitch, it's not where I wanted, and you have to move on. I think sometimes he tends to snowball.
Well, our resident bullpen arm, Ricky Batalico, just checked in on this question about Orion Kerkering. And he says he needs to throw more fastballs to set up the slider. So he doesn't think. And me and Ricky have talked about that before. Ray just gives me a thumbs up agreeing with Ricky Bo. Ricky and I had talked about this before, too. He's throwing too many breaking balls, too many slower type pitches. Use that fastball. That's why you were so good last season.
Is that not on JT a little bit, too, though?
Yeah. I think with Orion, and it's been something I think last postseason also came, they're so kind of set on, and he seems kind of set on just, let me pepper you with the sweeper, the slider, let me pepper you with that stuff. I would love to see him go in on the hands more with the fastball, like to a right-handed bat, like where you see the issue of him leaving that sweeper over the plate. If you're going in on the hands with a fastball, at least you're giving them something different where they can't just sit there and wait for you to let one of those sweepers kind of come over and catch too much of the plate. I would like to see him use that a little bit more to set up what he tries to do off speed, and I think he'll have more success there. And I think you start to see a little bit more success using that fastball at the end of that inning. Like,
yes,
I think
at the end.
That was a nice growth point of, wow, that was a brutal start to the inning. Getting out of that inning, it's a good lesson for him, but it's also, hey, let's watch this entire inning back. Tell me what you didn't do right the first couple batters and tell me what was working for you at the end and what the difference it could be for you going forward. I think that, to me, I want to see him really try and get in on the hands with that fastball, because if they're going to respect the fact that you might be, sawing their bat in half with a fastball, there's a good chance that they won't just be sitting there waiting for that sweeper to catch too much of the plate.
Yeah, it's a good point, and they're going to need Orion Kerkering come October. We know who the 7, 8, 9 will be, but as we were saying earlier, you can't guarantee that your starters go 6 every time. And I say they're going to need him come October because this team will be in October, and I'm going to say something right now. And this will be official this time, Ray, because we were talking about this a couple of months ago. Some people had already declared it. I think we can officially declare August 9th, 2024, the NL East race is over, Ray. It is over. Some people said it a couple of months ago, and I think that they were right even back then. But can we just all agree now? NL East champs, Philadelphia Phillies.
I think we can agree the Braves are absolutely cooked.
They look terrible right now. I mean, look, the Mets
have a lot of issues going on, but that is...
The Mets have passed them, Amy.
Oh, yeah, the Mets passed them like 2 weeks ago, I feel like, when they had that series, and I thought, yikes. And then the Braves showed a little teeny bit of life, but that team is cooked. That Phillies are going to win the NL East. I don't think there's any question in my mind about that. But seeing the Braves just absolutely fall apart, I take a little joy.
Oh, it was great. Yesterday, I had it on up here in the studio.
7?
Yeah, it was 8-0 within the first 3 innings. Morton looked bad again. Part of me just wanted to see if we had a cigar and something strong to pour here and just sit back in the chair, lean back and just enjoy it. Woo, man, I would hate to be in Atlanta right now.
Well, the good news is their fans are they're not locked in.
Nah, they're fair weather fans in Atlanta.
They have more fans in the southern region than they do in Atlanta proper. Because it's everybody in the South, that's their team. So if you're in anywhere in Georgia, if you're anywhere in South Carolina, North Carolina, parts of Virginia, they're all Braves fans.
Yeah, when I was down in North Carolina, a lot of Braves fans.
All Braves fans. In actual Atlanta, it's no.
How many times have you been down to Atlanta? Never.
Exactly. No.
All right. Cool, man. Good for you.
That's the only team. And a lot of them, because I grew up in Virginia, that was the only team you could watch for a lot of people because you either saw WGN with the Cubs or you saw TBS with the Braves. Unless there was something on national TV. Just the regionalization, that's how it was. So and a lot of people, that's just what they grew up watching. So
it always surprised me that the Atlanta airport is the busiest airport in the country.
Oh, have you ever been in there?
I have.
Yeah,
But I didn't know it until I went there and realized, wow, this is a massive airport.
It's so poorly laid out, too.
It's terrible. It is absolutely terrible.
Poorly laid out.
But because it's a hub throughout the country.
Oh, yeah.
And as we talk about the country, Ray, man, we should be playing some American music or something if you had it. Because I want to talk about Captain America himself, Amy.
Well, that's Captain Lamerica, but we can talk about the other Captain America if you want.
Joel Embiid. What a performance by Joel Embiid yesterday for Team USA. What a game, by the way.
That was a great game. I was on my feet for almost the entire fourth quarter at my house.
Yes, I was so happy because we got off the air yesterday at 2, so I was able to make it home, and I'm watching the game, and you're watching that first half thinking, oh, my God. They're gonna get bronze. They're gonna lose to Serbia.
See, now you're like the other members of my household that were watching.
I was a nervous wreck.
They were like, "There's no way." Shawnee's like, "Well, they're gonna lose to Germany. Can they beat Germany?" And I was like, "What are you talking about, Germany? We're talking about France." He goes, "No, Mom." I said, "I know." There was a lot of negative Nellies sitting out there at a certain household, but I said no. They're gonna win this game, and I even placed wagers.
Wow.
With my family.
Oh,
which is weird because
What'd you win?
$5.
Oh, you're doing money. See, I thought you would have done like chores or they have to make dinner.
Those have to happen regardless.
Yeah, Amy runs a tight ship at the Kane household.
Yeah. The beds get made whether you like it or not.
I like it. But I loved what I saw from Joel Embiid. 19 points, 8 of 11 from the field, 2 of 3 from beyond the arc. But when they needed him most, he stepped up. After the game, we can't play the audio for you because there's way too many F-bombs in it. But LeBron James, who, man, whether you like LeBron or not,
come on,
how impressive
when
has he been?
He had that like kind of circus move under them. This man is 107 years old. What are we doing?
I love that he's got the beard going too with the gray. Makes him look older, but he is unbelievable. LeBron is unbelievable. But LeBron James pulls the team together after the game. And he says, Chef and Joe, you all carried us tonight, with a bunch of F-bombs in between. You all carried us tonight. Chef, obviously, Seth Curry.
Steph.
Oh, my God, I said Seth.
Oh, Steph.
Seth's
Steph
not
wishes.
Seth does wish he's Steph Curry. But here's what I don't understand, Amy, and this is what I want to get into today. Joel Embiid really put the team on his back at times in the USA game yesterday. If it wasn't for Joel, they probably don't win that game. They're playing for the bronze medal. It's a major disappointment. Even LeBron James gives them credit after the game as to, you all carried us, citing to Joel Embiid. But yet, Amy, there are still Embiid haters who will not give this man credit for what he did yesterday. I'm already seeing it on our YouTube chat.
No.
Neil Deaver. To be honest, Embiid was the 4th most important player.
Stop.
I mean, what is going on? How come we can't give this guy his flowers when he deserves them?
Well, listen, there are people, and you mentioned LeBron James, talk about a polarizing figure. There are people that will never give flowers to a player that they don't have an appreciation for. They'll hem and haw, they'll mitigate it and say, oh, well, he did that. But it always happens. For you to watch that game, especially the third and fourth quarter, where Joel Embiid was not only so important on the defensive end with a block, several blocks, one that was a big one, I think was a tip. It might not have gone down as an actual block. And then 2, the buckets, the creation, the rebounds, the tipping the ball around. Watching him affect the game, I will admit, sometimes I watch him to the exclusion of others because I really want to see what he's doing, because he has had a tougher adjustment up into probably the Brazil game, or even maybe the Germany game before they were fine, but a tougher adjustment to this level of competition, to this style of play with the international game or whatever. So I sometimes watch him a little bit more. The stuff that he does, drawing the double teams, taking defenders away, creating the switches, those don't show up in the box score. He affected that game in ways that will never be able to put on paper, but you saw it with your eyeballs. And then you look at what he did on paper and you think, my goodness, if you think that he wasn't crucial to that. We were joking at our house, we were watching it in the fourth quarter. Unless you're going in the Hall of Fame in a year, you shouldn't touch the ball. When Steve Kerr's trotting out these lineups with Devin Booker and I'm like, no. This is crunch time. Get all those guys off. Let's get the Hall of Famers out there. So I'm talking about Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Chef Curry, and in this case, Joel Embiid, who will be a Hall of Famer. And I thought, that's the lineup. That's what you need to go with. The only exchange I would have probably made is Drew Holiday instead of Booker, but that's fine. And I thought, and I even sent the tweet out, and Bill, you replied to it. It was, look at Joel Embiid. He was a great fourth quarter, and there was just, he showed up in one game. I'm like, you can't. Why? Haters are going to hate. Haters are going to hate no matter what. They're going to always mitigate what they saw. Well, he did this, but only because he's with the best players. Well, he wasn't performing because he was with the best players. So which is it? You can't have it both ways.
And I want to open up the phone lines to people today about Joel Embiid because I really want you to help me understand why people hate on Joel as much as they do. If there was any other athlete, especially Philadelphia athlete, who did what Joel Embiid did yesterday for the country, for the Olympic team, for USA men's basketball, we would be screaming his praises from the rooftops today, universally. But yet there are still people who don't want to give this man credit for what he did in the biggest game of the Olympics, a do-or-die game where this team is down and they relied on Joel and he came through. I want to hear from you. Why won't people give him credit? 610-632-0975. We're going to continue to talk about the new Captain America, Joel Embiid. We're going to prepare you for the big game tonight. Not really, but an exciting one nonetheless. It's a game. Eagles, Ravens.
We're excited about it.
And we'll keep talking about the Phillies because the NL East race is over. And don't forget, with Nick Foles retiring, we're going to remember him throughout the show. But with the Philly special being maybe the most memorable Philadelphia sports moment, we want to hear from you on our text board of some other unforgettable Philly sports moments. 610-632-0975. We'll continue all of this conversation coming up next. This 10 o'clock hour on The Fanatic is brought to you by Window Nation. Take advantage of Window Nation's 50% off sale on all style windows. Plus, make no down payment with no payments and no interest for 12 months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. Bill Colarulo, I don't even know how to say my last name. Bill Colarulo and Amy Fadul with you today on Middays with Ray Dunn behind the glass. If you haven't heard, Mike Missinelli's coming back on Monday. Brand new midday show kicking off Monday at 10. So we're keeping the seats warm today, talking about a lot on the plate today. There's a lot to talk about. Obviously, Football Friday, we got the Philadelphia Eagles hopefully playing tonight, Amy. We don't know what the weather that's going on down in Baltimore.
That's the same weather we've had. It was torrential downpours in the overnight.
But if the Philadelphia Eagles play tonight, which I'm hoping they will, you got to tune in for the pregame show. Me, Andrew Salciunas, kicking off at 6 p.m., getting you ready for all things Eagles-Ravens. But we're also throwing out this question today to our Twitter followers. How much of the game are you actually going to watch tonight, Ray? What do we got on the Twitter poll?
Yeah, you can vote at 975 The Fanatic. How much of the Eagles preseason game will you watch tonight? 36% of the vote right now saying none at all. 25% saying the entire game, 20% saying the first half, and 19% saying the first quarter.
I don't think that none at all. Like, you're never even going to turn it on?
There are people who can't stand preseason games.
So, it's like, you're not curious? Like
so over 50% of the people are tuned out after the first quarter because they're either not watching it at all or they're just watching the first quarter.
Maybe like you make it to like the first quarter or halftime and you're like, oh, I've seen everything I need to see. I'm not as interested in the,
Well, they're going up against the fighting
guys.
Phils tonight, too, because you got the Phillies' first pitch at 9:40 again.
Yeah. I mean, you got 2 hours. 2 hours.
You'll get to the third quarter,
yeah,
probably.
You can watch a good chunk of that.
First half. And listen, I'm right there with everybody. I can't stand preseason games. I wish the season would just start. You're impatient like me. You want that instant gratification. Give me week one, game one. But there is a lot to look out for tonight in this game. There's a lot of position battles that we don't know the answer to. And I want to talk about that with Amy coming up shortly. But I want to continue this conversation about our favorite Philly sports memories. Because with our man, Nick Foles, retiring.
How's everyone doing?
We were doing great, Nick, after that Super Bowl 52 win that you led us to. And that Philly special being, in my opinion, the most memorable Philly sports moment. I just will never forget the Philly special. I want to throw out there your other memorable Philly sports moments because there's a ton over the years. And I think we opened up the text board to this, Ray, and you could still get in 610-632-0975. Your favorite Philly sports memories outside of the Philly special. What do we got, Ray?
Ethan and Willow Grove going from the same game, the strip sack.
It's hard to argue with that one.
BG, nicely done. That's when I knew that they were winning.
Same.
I waited until that moment because I thought, Negadelphia, don't rear your ugly head. It was so much joy after Philly. Okay, don't do it. And then that's when I was like, nope, let's go.
Well, also because up until that strip sack, the Eagles were not able to stop Tom Brady.
Tom Brady had over 500 passing yards, and you just thought, don't give him a chance because that's all he needs.
You weren't able to stop Brady. So, yeah, I started to think at that moment, too, they're going to win this game. But what a lot of us forget, after that strip sack, the Eagles go 3 and out. And rookie kicker Jake Elliott comes running out for the biggest kick of his career. He's got to kick a 46-yard field goal. Now, a 46-yard field goal is not a terribly long field goal, but in that moment, if he misses that field goal, because that would have been at, I think it was around midfield that they would have gotten the ball back, you would have been up 5 if he misses the field goal.
And giving Tom Brady the ball.
Tom Brady has the ball, minute left, close to mid.
No, I was locked in. I literally changed. I was doing post-game that night, and I changed from my regular attire to my full-length green sequin dress.
Did you start drinking the Mad Dog yet? Didn't you start drinking Mad Dog?
Mad Dog was later. Started with champagne. We drank through the champagne, and then we went to Mad Dog. That was the post-game show.
So I was in Minnesota, and I was a nervous wreck, but I will admit, when the strip sack happened, I'm thinking, this is going to happen.
This is it.
They're gonna win this damn game. Ray, do we got any other sports memories on the text board?
Winning a championship does a lot for people. Biz in Northeast Philly, all I have to say is this: a swing and a miss. He struck him out, and the Philadelphia Phillies are world champions of baseball. Just saying that is giving me chills again.
Brad Lidge, Carlos Ruiz. Man, that was a great one. It's unfortunate those are the only two I've ever seen, Amy.
But there's not a whole lot to go on here. That's okay, and that's all right.
But that was a good one as well. We talked about that yesterday, unfortunately. I had never seen a championship. Most people who were
professional championship.
Good point. But most people who were there at the 2008 World Series Game 6 hadn't seen it unless you were born before 1983. So I would say half the audience that was in attendance had never seen a championship. And they made us wait 2 more nights because they rained us out. That was like, you got to be kidding me. We got to leave and wait 48 hours. But I'll tell you what, coming back 2 days later with the game starting in the 7th inning, I think it was.
Yeah, game 5.
The energy was unbelievable. The energy's always there in Red October, but the fact that you only had to bring it for like 3 innings, I have never felt.
It was like super intense. And it was such a build-up too, right? It was building up for hours and days at that point. Like, let's go. You're looking at like a 12-hour build-up.
And somebody led off with a double. Was it Jeff Jenkins that hit the double?
Believe it was Jenkins. It was Jenkins double and Burrell doubled. I'm forgetting the order of the two.
Yeah. But the place went nuts when that first double happened. And I think I've told this story before. My dad was a Philadelphia police officer then, and he was there as a cop. And I got so excited during that double, I went and I smacked him on the butt, and he got mad. He's like, you can't do that when I'm in uniform. You got to respect the police here. But anyway, I lost my mind. That was a great, great sports memory. We'll continue to get all of your favorite Philly sports memories as we remember Nick Foles' career. That's one of the weirdest careers I've ever seen in the National Football League, or really any professional sport for that matter. A guy who, outside of that magical season where he leads the Eagles to the Super Bowl, and then the one regular season where he has 27 touchdowns.
3 interceptions. Incredible.
Everything else was
mundane.
Yes, to put it mildly. So a very interesting career, but we love you, Nick Foles. But for whatever reason, people don't love Joel Embiid the same way. And that's the question we're throwing out now, because Joel Embiid yesterday puts Team USA on his back at times to the point where even LeBron James gives him credit after the game. You all carried us tonight, talking to him and Curry. But there are still people who will hate on Joel Embiid, and I'm trying to understand why. And we threw out that question, 610-632-0975. Why, if that was any other Philadelphia athlete, if that was Allen Iverson, Amy, if that was Allen Iverson, all we would be hearing, I think the phone lines would be blowing up about how great is AI, how great is AI, but yet Joel does it, and it's just like, yeah, but.
Because he hasn't done it here. I think there's a lot of people that I saw on my timeline where, well, he showed up in that one game one time, and he didn't show up for the Sixers, and it's, he showed up, and a lot of people have been wondering, can he be that clutch guy? Can he be that winning type of player? And he showed in a very highly competitive, must-win situation with the best players in the world out there that he can be that guy. And so to kind of take it down a notch just because it hasn't happened for you in a Sixers uniform, I think is just, I don't know. It's just being small. You're just being small.
So
it was disappointing to see.
It is, and to your point about how he's never done it here, and I know I always get killed for this, Tyrone brings this up a lot as well. Allen Iverson never really did it here either. One season, 2001, which was unforgettable. Some of my favorite Philly sports memories, as we talk about those, come from that 01 Sixers run. The step over being one of them. I'm probably stealing some people's, but that was the only year AI got past the second round.
I know.
But yet the love for Allen Iverson, we are very obvious in who we like and who we don't like in this town. And it wasn't overwhelmingly negative yesterday. Most people supported Joel. Most people were excited for Joel. But you still had the haters coming out who wanted to cite the lazy turnover or the missed rebound at the end of the game. Oh, well, he can only do it because of all the other stars. And I'm trying to get answers. If you're one of those people, why do you hate on Joel? 610-632-0975. You can call us. You can text us. I want an explanation. I need an explanation.
Tell him.
Yes.
Tell Bill what's wrong.
Explain it to me like I'm a child.
Why you don't like Joy? I think there are people that will always just discredit what Joel Embiid has done. They'll give him certain flowers to a degree and be like, oh, well, he played well because of this. Or this was the one time you saw him and you'll never see him again. And they're already like going to talk about, oh, he's probably not going to show up against France or whatever else because he had the one. Okay. All right. Like, just let him be.
Yeah, we got to
enjoy it for what it was. And I think that's another thing. People just don't think you can give praise to Joel while also recognizing that he's not the only reason they won. LeBron James with their triple-double is incredible. Steph Curry with 17 first-quarter points was insane.
Yes.
KD with some big shots. KD also with some bad turnovers earlier in that game and then came through at the very end. It's a collective effort. But those four guys, without them, and they're the only people that should have been playing, and rightfully so in the fourth quarter, and that Joel Embiid was an integral part of that. They don't win that game if he doesn't show up like that.
And my man Neil, again on YouTube, the Embiid praise seems forced to me. How are we forcing praise on a guy who literally, did LeBron James force that praise after the game, giving him credit, saying, you all carried us tonight? Do we have a text on this? Can someone explain this to me, Ray? What do we got?
No, we don't have an explanation, but we got someone checking in on it. Smitty from South Jersey saying, Embiid is and has been great for years. Who cares about the idiots? Also, this Olympics shows nothing. He's still unguardable.
That's true.
Who cares about the idiots? Look, I wasn't going to call anybody an idiot. Not my style. Well, you know what I want to get into, Amy, with you then? Because we've talked about, well, maybe some of this hate is coming from the fact that Joel's never done it here. There were some who didn't want him playing in this Olympics. There were some who were concerned
There's
about.
still people that say that.
Yeah, we're afraid he was going to get hurt. I want to talk to you about what do we think yesterday did for Joel Embiid as a Sixers fan. Let's look at it through the lens of a Sixers fan. Seeing him in that moment, being relied upon by the best players in the world, leaning on him. What do you think that could do for Joel Embiid as we now go towards the 2024 season with a lot of expectations on this team? You've added Paul George. You have Tyrese Maxey. They've added a lot of other pieces. What happened yesterday in this Olympic Games? How can Joel Embiid build off of that as a Sixers fan? I'm rocking the Sixers shirt today in a positive way going forward. So I want to talk to you about that coming up next. And we'll continue to get all your favorite sports memories on the text board, 610-632-0975. Welcome back into Middays. Bill Colarulo, Amy Fadul with you today. Ray Dunn behind the glass. Talking about a lot of different things today. Philadelphia Phillies, they're back, baby. And I think we can officially say, for the second time, that the NL East is over. Because a lot of us were saying it before, and then we got a little nervous in there, Amy. But I think it's officially over now.
Got nervous when you saw like the Mets, who were one of the best teams since the All-Star break, and you thought, oh, gosh, really? No. And then, of course, no. That's actually not true. And then I thought the Braves were just – they've been cooked, but they're really cooked now.
How about the fact that if the season ended today, the Mets would make the playoffs and the Braves wouldn't?
That's what I mean. It's just incredible.
Amazing.
And also, if the season ends today, which it won't, thankfully, but the best record in the National League being the most important, and now, 2.5 games up on that? Like, that's crucial when you're looking at going forward in the postseason, especially the NLCS.
So you say, thankfully, the season doesn't end today. I'd be ready for October. I'm ready. I'm ready for the season end. Well, you know what? No, I'm not, because I need to see Ranger Suarez come back, find his groove.
There's a few more things we need to see.
Yeah, we need him to come back and find his groove.
It is a very long – all the seasons are very long, but that's what makes them fun.
It is what makes them fun. And if you're not paying attention to the Olympics, a great game yesterday. Team USA, it looked like maybe they were going to get upset by Serbia.
I think a lot of people thought they were going to get upset by Serbia, including Serbia.
I will admit.
You had your doubts, didn't you?
So at halftime, I'm thinking, all right, they'll get it going in the second half. But then when they got a little close in the third, but then Serbia pulled away again, I'm thinking this is going to be the major upset.
Serbia shot lights out from three. That's the best they had shot from three. Bogdanovic, and it's not the Knicks by Bogdanovic for anybody wondering. It's the younger Bogdanovic. He was incredible. He was
cocky too.
Well, yeah, and I like it. Like I'm all for that when people are doing the DX and the two. Like, I don't know, whatever. Have fun. It's a tough game. You're out there giving your heart out, whatever. But I thought Bogdanovic played better, especially late, than Jokic.
Bogdanovic did play really well, and obviously, yes, Embiid, Jokic, the constant battle, who's the best player, who deserves the MVP. Well, that was on full display at the Olympics yesterday. And Joel Embiid played extremely, extremely well. 19 points, 8 of 11 from the field, 2 of 3 from the three-point arc. And when they needed him, he came up big. That was what was most important, is not everybody was playing well yesterday. Obviously, Curry was Curry. But they needed Joel, and he really sparked this team with a massive comeback to win the game. And instead of it being universal love for Joel Embiid, like I thought it would be, especially from our Philadelphia brethren here, that everybody would be screaming about how excited they are that one of our own turned into Captain America and saved Team USA, the haters were still going to hate Amy. It was all over Twitter. People still talking about, oh, well, it's one game. Great, let's anoint him. It's only one game. And I'm trying to understand why that hate gets directed towards Joel Embiid. Because if that was Bryce Harper in a baseball game, if Bryce Harper had struggled all Olympics and then came up big with a home run, everyone would be talking about, well, there it is. That's Bryce. This is why we love him. Not Joel.
That's people are going to disparage who they want to disparage because that's how they have. Your perception is your reality. So there's a lot of people that don't like Joel Embiid for whatever reason. They don't think that he's as good as he is. They don't think that he shows up for the Sixers in a big way. Whatever their preconceived kind of idea on Joel Embiid is not going to change by one game. It should, and I feel like it's the same thing with LeBron. The LeBron versus Michael Jordan and LeBron versus whoever you want him to go against in your mind of being the greatest. There will always be people that don't appreciate something about a great player. And that's fine. But the facts are, you don't win that game without Joel Embiid. LeBron James knew it. Steve Kerr knew it. Everybody, Serbia certainly knew it. They're double teaming Joel. They know what he can do. I thought he looked as athletic in his movements as he had the entire Olympics. I thought he looked good. He was making the cuts. Well, of course, we all freaked out when he fell down and kind of rolled. And I thought, my goodness, what are we doing?
It was a great play, but yes, I'm thinking, Joel, come on, man.
Stop, drop, and roll. What are you doing?
Stop,
what are you
drop,
doing?
And roll.
How many times? How many times have we been over this? Just
don't do that.
Whatever. It's fine. It was a great highlight.
It was
He's
great.
Okay. We're all fine.
We're all fine.
And then there was that one time where he slipped, and I thought, where are these people with the pick? Wipe that up. We cannot have any knee situation.
Yes. Come on. what are they? It's FIBA? Is it the FIBA rules? Is that what they call it?
Well, that's just like a person that's out there, like, get that little squeegee out there. Get the
I don't know
squeegee.
if there's a difference between FIBA mopper, NBA mopper.
Yeah, there's a different
Not-
way to mop.
Yeah, not as on top of it.
It's a French way to mop.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit different. But look, what I wanted to talk to Amy and Ray about was Joel Embiid. Yes, if you're a Philadelphia 76ers fan, you know the Sixers have never got out of the second round.
Well, not never.
With Joel, excuse
Correct.
me.
Feels like it.
It does feel like
fact on this one.
That's what I said. Like, it does
it
feel
does
like
feel
it.
like that. It does feel like never. But what can this do for Joel? I know it's only one game, but it was a big game. It's a do-or-die game where the best players in the world are relying on you to help carry them to victory, and Joel comes through in a big way. What can this do? How does Joel now carry this over into the regular season for the 76ers?
I think he can carry it over, and I think it's the build-up. For me, watching his start to the Olympics was a real struggle. Let's remember what the first Serbia game looked like for him. Not good. Still adjusting. He had the one Germany lead-up game that was good, but he had a hard time adjusting. Then he had the DNP. He had limited minutes against Puerto Rico. He had a good game against Brazil, but let's be honest, that was a severely overmatched Brazil team. That was not a good Brazilian team. I know that they were there. Good job for them, but Team USA was ridiculously they overpowered them. And you needed to see him find himself. The fact that he found himself in a game that was as crucial as this one when they were down by so much, I think says a lot about where he can view himself and what he can do. To me, it's the situation of building up to having not a great start to the Olympics against that same team, and then the crunch time, he was out there when it mattered the most. He had the and ones, he had the block, he had the rebounds, and he had the points. That, to me, is everything that I need to know going forward. And then I'll look for him in the France game to continue it. Like, it'll be interesting. But he could absolutely take away that kind of confidence level.
Yeah, the France game going up against Wemby, who he dropped 70 on this year, didn't he?
That would be right.
That was the 70-point game. Wemby
Sure
was
was.
in it.
It was a Spurs game.
So we'll see. We'll see
Basically
what
Wemby.
Joel
That's
does.
their team.
Basically, that's it.
Yeah.
Roll the ball out, goddamn.
No, it's just the Wemby team. But we'll see what Joel Embiid does tomorrow, right? Tomorrow is the gold medal game.
3:30.
3:30 tomorrow against France. I'm definitely going to be tuned in for that. But we'll continue the Joel Embiid conversation because I do want to continue to hear from all of you why Joel doesn't get universal love for his performance yesterday, where you know if that was any other Philadelphia athlete, we would be lighting up the phone lines today to sing his praises. But with Joel, for whatever reason, people won't provide that love on a universal level. So I want an explanation, 610-632-0975. But we also got to talk about the Eagles, who play tonight, we think.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. We'll see what the weather
That radar is.
has in store.
Big
Because
day for weather people.
yeah, I want to find out what we're
day.
looking for in this preseason game. And as we talk about the NFL, I'm going to say something that maybe is not a popular opinion. I'm starting to get a little bit overwhelmed that I've had enough with the Travis Kelse stuff. And I'll explain when we come back because now Travis is doing another thing that we're going to have to see. I'll explain coming up next. Welcome back into Middays. Bill Colarulo, Amy Fadul, Ray Dunn behind the glass today. Hope everyone's having a great Friday, a football Friday. We got the Eagles back in action tonight, hopefully, weather permitting. Our first pregame show coming up at 6 o'clock tonight. You can get me and Andrew Salciunas. We'll be having Andrew DeCecco, Tim McManus checking in. And there's a lot to look for tonight, which we're going to get into in a second. But Travis Kelse, Amy and Ray, maybe this is just me being a hater. I've had enough of him. I don't want to see anything else that I already have to deal with his face everywhere. And now, do you remember the show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Remember that show? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Jeff Foxworthy used to host it.
Yeah, it was on last year.
Then John Cena hosted it, right? Mm-hmm. They're releasing something called Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity? And it's going to be hosted by none other than Travis Kelse.
It's like a one-off. It's a one-off show.
No.
Like every week?
It's going to be an every week show.
Where does he tape that?
It said here, there appeared to be some initial concern about whether Kelse could do the job while continuing to be Patrick Mahomes' number one target, but clearly the two were able to figure out a work out a deal on a schedule that makes sense for everyone involved. So this is going to be a show that's going to launch October 16th, I believe.
Have they already taped it? Maybe they already taped a lot of it.
I'll be honest, I like this in the sense of now if they have a poor season,
distractions.
It's going to be blamed on the show instead of Taylor Swift. So I kind of appreciate this.
All right, that's good.
This is good built-in protection for Travis Kelse. This is Kelse actually looking out for Taylor Swift in a way.
Yeah, first show's October 16th. I'm assuming this is is it a weekly show or a nightly show? Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity?
Imagine weekly.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine this dude's
like
getting
once
done
a week.
practice.
It's like a sitcom type of vibe. It's not like Jeopardy.
Well, I'm probably not going to be tuned in.
It doesn't
am
seem
I a
like
hater?
it.
Am I just a hater?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Is
that's-
anybody else
so.
sick and tired of the Kelseys everywhere? I'm going to throw Jason in there, too. I'm going to get killed for that.
All right.
Wow.
You stand on that
Strong.
island, man.
I think I'm jealous. Maybe I'm just
You
jealous.
definitely are. No, you're not the only one. You're probably one of the brave to say it, because I don't think...
Certainly the bravest with a microphone to say it.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't think you're the only one. I do know someone in my life that has become annoyed with just about where they are everywhere.
Yeah. I love Jason Kelse. Don't take this the wrong way.
I mean, I don't believe
love
him for
him.
a second now.
We'll have to check that. You have your Kelsey card.
They are everywhere.
That's what winning does.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, though. The whole doing a TV show, great. Keep him farther away from the football field. That's good with me. Give him something else on his plate. Make him a little more stressed out about something that's not football. That works for me. 2, I can't even pretend like I'm going to watch.
Yeah.
I don't even know if this is ever... I don't know if, you brought this up today. I saw, maybe one tweet on my timeline about it, that, he was doing something with regards to this. But unless they promote it during a football game or promote it, during a sporting event, there's a chance that I don't ever see anything from this show unless something goes viral on social media. Because there is not a thing in the world that I'd be less interested in watching.
But it will go viral because it's Travis Kelse and he dates Taylor Swift, and it's going to probably be all... I guarantee you the first episode come October 16th, there's going to be clips everywhere all over social media.
And we'll pull them, we'll play them, and then I'll forget about it until the next time it goes viral. I don't really like this. To me, him being everywhere, is he everywhere where I'm consuming content?
Yeah, it's on
Are You Smarter
Amazon
Than a Celebrity?
Prime. It's on
that's
video.
Prime. It is. It's going to be on Amazon
You won't
Prime.
run into it. You have to go seek it out.
There'll be an advertisement for it here or there, and I'll be like, oh, look, Travis Kelse on a commercial.
Yeah.
It's 20 episodes. But they've already taped some of them.
Oh, you're getting the details. See?
Yeah.
Amy's digging deeper into this.
I would like...
Good old Google. I did. See, it's 20 episodes, 3 of which are already in the books.
I would love to play a game during one football game this season and count the number of Kelse commercials versus non-Kelse commercials. Because I do think we're going to get pretty close to... It's not going to be a 50-50 split, but 3 out of every 10 include a Kelse. 4 out of every 10 include a Kelse. I mean, I think we're going to be pretty close to them.
Do we feel this way when we saw Peyton Manning and Tom Brady everywhere? Because I feel like you saw Peyton Manning a lot.
You still
towards
see
the
him.
end.
Yeah.
I know, which I love.
I do
He's my
too.
favorite
I love...
quarterback, but-
See, maybe I didn't mind it as much because I guess
You got a crush
Like
on
Tom-
Taylor Swift, man?
Yeah.
I was saying maybe this is going to
Tom
sound
Brady's
like
face I could have done without.
maybe this is going to sound like jealousy again, but like with Peyton, it wasn't like he was trying to appear everywhere as like this cool guy. He was funny, you know.
He's not cool.
I don't know, Peyton with
No,
that
I
big
get what he's
head of
saying.
his. You know
I
what
have to
mean?
say, I do kind of understand where you're coming from. It's absolutely from jealousy. You're
You're
upset
probably
because
right.
you have the feeling when you see Peyton Manning, you're like, huh, you know, like he's like dad cool. You know, he's not cool, but he's cool for what he is.
Do you remember one of the roasts that Peyton Manning was at? I think it was Pete Davidson who said Peyton Manning looks like football players would look if they've evolved to not have to wear helmets.
Yes.
Poor Peyton.
But
I love Peyton.
He is, yeah, he's dad cool, where it's like you're not really supposed to be cool, but you're pretty cool. Like,
All right.
just the way he acts, the jokes he makes, his mannerisms. Travis Kelce's legitimately cool. Like, you are jealous the looks, you're jealous of the just, I guess, aura that the guy has. Peyton Manning, it's like, he's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that from him. He's got a personality. That's nice.
I am surprised. I'm getting tweeted at. Joe Evans, I agree with you. Tired of seeing the Kelseys everywhere. Daniel Miller on YouTube. Preach, Bill. Kelseys are oversaturated. So I guess I'm not the only one here, Amy.
And in 3 years, when you don't see Jason or Travis anymore, we'll be like, remember that time?
Money Mark. Jason and Travis are the duo the world never asked for.
Oh, see, I don't know. I like them.
I mean,
it's fun.
they're everywhere.
They are
They are
everywhere.
everywhere. Well, listen, if you are that level of celebrity and you don't know when it's going to be taken away, you just strike while the iron is hot. You say yes to every deal, and you get that money. You take that bag.
Were you on middays with me when I read the report that they're trying to sell New Heights for $100 million? Were you here for that?
No.
Yes, they're trying to sell their New Heights podcast for $100 million. It was reported by Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk.
That seems like a bit high. Take a zero off, and you might actually have a more successful chance.
Who knows? But again, talking about striking while the iron's hot. Look, I hope it works out for Travis and Taylor.
Oh, boy. See, this is where the
Uh-oh.
jealousy
Now-
comes from.
now-
No, I hope it works out
Guy's
for
got
them.
a crush on Taylor Swift.
The butt's coming. But
No, what I'm saying is, but that podcast is successful. But without the Swifties
It was
tuning in
successful
every
before
show, it was, but not $100 million successful.
Right.
So that's why I think they're trying to sell it now because it's at an all-time high. Why not?
simple. This is simple economics here, everyone.
Look,
Simple economics.
Scott's probably
Supply
listening.
and demand.
Scott's listening right now, our program director, saying, all right, I've heard enough about the Kelseys. Let's talk about the Eagles game. So, big Eagles game tonight. First preseason game. First time we get to see them going up against an opponent since Tampa, which it feels like it was so long ago, but it also feels like it was yesterday at the same time, as weird as that
It
sounds.
feels like it was a while ago. Maybe that's just projecting on my part. I want it to feel like it was a really long time ago.
But hey, the Sixers saved us though. This summer went by quick because of all the moves the Sixers made, didn't it? A little bit, and the Phillies too. They helped.
The
They helped
Phillies.
just a tad. But tonight, how much are you actually going to watch of the game? That's something I want to know. Send us a text 610-632-0975, or you could also go to our Twitter at 975 The Fanatic. Where are we at on the Twitter poll, Ray?
All right. For right now, as we ask how much the Eagles preseason game will you watch tonight, none at all. Still winning. 36% of the vote. 24% of the vote is the entire game. First half getting 19%, and the first quarter getting 21% of the vote.
So only 24% of Eagles fans are going to watch the entire game. I will be tuned in for the entire game. I hate the preseason. I would love for them to just get rid of the preseason. I think it's ridiculous that you make fans who are season ticket holders pay full freight for preseason games when, let's be honest, it's not even close to a regular season game. But I do like watching because, especially in the third and fourth quarter, Amy, watching guys play for their livelihoods. I mean, this means everything to those men that are on the field trying to win a job. It's probably the toughest job interview in the world right there, training camp and preseason. So I'll watch the entire game. You going to tune in for the whole thing?
I'll be locked in. We'll probably do the 2-screen experience
With the
towards
Phils?
the end, yeah. But yeah, I like the little extra things, and I like watching some of the position battles, and like these are, you mentioned it. It's a tryout. It's a tryout basically for the other teams out there, and guys that are trying to make rosters and try to be one of the 53 or on the practice squad or on someone else's practice squad. There's a lot of moves that are going to be made, after this game There are going to a lot of be moves that are going to be made, in the couple of the preseason games, post those preseason games. But I think you are moving probably towards a 2 preseason game situation. They won't get rid of it completely. I think that you need to have some sort of semblance of a preamble, of a lead up, even if it doesn't look like real football. But I think that you probably will see the 2 games before you see no games.
Yeah, you're probably right. They'll move to 2 and then the 18-game season. If the Eagles players don't play tonight, if the starters don't play tonight, which with the weather looking the way it is, becoming less and less likely, they play their next one on Thursday of next week. I don't think you're going to see any starters in that game either because 2 days earlier they have a joint practice against the Patriots. And then would they play them in the final preseason game? I don't know, but assuming the weather's okay, I know that's a big assumption. Who would you want to see tonight play of those starters?
Now, breaking sports news from 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
I mean, it's like Jeff McClain knew we were talking about this right now. Eagles' plan is to play their starters for a series in tonight's preseason opener at the Ravens. Team sources said could be more depending upon how the series goes.
How about that? Jeff McClain is listening to us right now. I hate it.
What? This is exactly what I said. I said this earlier this week, and I said you're going to see the starters for a series or 2. That's exactly what I said.
I can't stand it. I don't need to see the starters. That was the question I was just asking.
You don't need to see a single one.
All right, let's start on the offensive side of the football.
You don't want to see Cam Jurgens at all.
Okay, Cam Jurgens. Okay. Let's think about this.
I'm just asking.
I don't need to see Cam.
Okay.
I don't need to see Jalen. I certainly don't need to see Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, or Devontae Smith. I don't need to see Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, or Lane Johnson. The only potential starter is one that hasn't been named yet, and that would be whoever's playing right guard. That would be the only position I need to see on offense.
Okay. I wouldn't mind seeing maybe a couple on offense. I would like to see Cam Jurgens. I wouldn't mind seeing a series with Saquon Barkley. I know you're not going to see anything as far as actual real looks and to try to give away the playbook or anything. But I would like to see what the offense could possibly look like for one series on the offense. So I don't need to see Jalen Hurts. I want to see Jalen Hurts. I do think it's a good idea for him and Cam Jurgens. Cam Jurgens, that was the proponent of him not, kind of stepping into this a little bit more, is that he did play the preseason game instead of Jason Kelse.
He did 2 seasons ago. He looked really good.
There you go.
He looked really good. I just don't need. What does one series do for you? So they come out and they play one series. All right, let's say they go on a nice 6 or 7 play drive.
That's about check.
How's that any different than not playing them at all? I just don't think.
Because it's actual football against somebody else. It's not when you go to these training camp practices. And I was out there on Wednesday. You don't see. It's not the same. And I know that preseason isn't the same, but it's closer. And so I think seeing them, for the coaches, seeing them in a semblance of a football situation, because it's really not real football, but it is closer to the fact. I think they want to see that. I think that's why they put them out there. I think they also put them out there for the fans. Let's be honest. If I go to that preseason game and I don't see Jalen Hurts or Saquon Barkley or A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith, I'm like, what's happening here? But I feel like the coaches do want to see them at least one time, one series.
I love the fans. When it comes to the preseason, I don't care if the fans don't see the starters, but I know what you mean on that. I don't need to see them. So, because here's the problem. Are you going to play all of the offensive line tonight? Because that would mean Lane Johnson is also getting in this preseason game.
It's one series. Lane Johnson for one series.
But I only want Jalen Hurts. I don't want him to play at all. But there's no way in hell that Jalen Hurts should step onto that field unless you give him
everybody's out there.
All 5 starters at the offensive line.
All starters for one series.
So they all have to start. I hate it, Ray. I don't need to see any of the starters for a series. What's your position on this?
Why? Why are we doing this?
All right, you're with me.
Just told you why.
Ray is a smart man
at
back
the
there.
weather. I haven't, but I've been told that it doesn't look good.
I was going to say, I know you didn't look at the weather, but people have told you about the weather.
I've been told it does not look good for the weather down there. I don't need a guy slipping. I will play the cautious, most just scared mentality in the world when it comes to this. Keep those guys off the fields. Let me get my series of Kenny Pickett taking snaps from Matt Hennessy with, you know what, Mekhi Becton, you could get in at right guard. All right, that's
There
cool.
you go.
And Johnny Wilson, you could start third wide receiver. You can start at wide receiver 1.
Yeah, put him at wide receiver 1
I
for all
don't
we
care.
care.
Yeah.
Just so you know, it's going to stop raining in Baltimore supposedly around 7 o'clock.
All right.
Dub.
That is still a field that has seen something. That has seen something today. And I don't even care. You know what? Bright light, nice and sunny, beautiful day out, still dangerous.
Still don't need it.
2 years ago, I watched Jalen Hurts get crushed on the sideline.
Against the Jets.
And you know what? That was enough for me. That was enough for me to say, I'm done.
I'm glad you bring that up, too. Because when that happened, all these Sirianni haters now love Sirianni. Remember he was trying to fight Rob Saleh? Remember when he was yelling across the damn field to Rob Saleh, what's going on, what's going on? But then Sirianni now, people don't like him as much. I loved when he was fiery in that moment.
I think if that fight happened, it would not have gone Sirianni's way.
No, that was a fight that I would have picked if I was him.
But
yeah, exactly. I would have picked it also from 60 yards away.
Doesn't he remind you, though, I agree, Rob Saleh would probably destroy him, but doesn't Sirianni remind you of a guy who's just going to keep getting up and keep getting up and keep getting up? He just seems to me like he's that much of a competitor.
You think he'd find answers to a fight that he was losing?
No. I think he would just eventually Saleh would feel bad and be like, come on, buddy, let's go. But I want to throw out the question to everybody. We're not going to talk about Saleh and Sirianni getting in a fight. I want to know, now that it's being reported by Jeff McClain that the starters will play a series tonight and could be more depending on how the first series goes, what are your thoughts about that? Do you like that the starters are going to get in tonight's game? 610-632-0975. Amy's all for it. Ray and I are in agreement. Why? What's the point? YouTube chat's already checking in. People seem to be excited that they're playing. Daniel Miller says, build some confidence, get the train rolling. See, here's one. This is an argument that I can't agree with. As we talk about the weather, I've seen some people say this, and MBD says it. Well, I didn't realize the regular season games were all perfect weather.
You have to play those.
But what? Yes.
They count.
There's no reason, the risk-reward of a preseason game, of putting your guys out there, and I don't love, they got to get used to playing in the rain. Them playing one series in the rain, August 9th, is not going to change what happens in the rain week 10 or week 11.
That's right, because August 9th rain is not exactly November 25th rain.
Correct.
I don't know if they play November 25th.
November Rain. Excellent song, Ray.
That's what I was going for there.
Wow, okay.
Do you like that song?
Yeah.
Great song.
More of Purple Rain guy.
Which version do you like?
Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the Guns N' Roses version.
That's a good one.
But
What's your favorite Rain theme song?
Purple Rain.
Yeah, I was going to say Purple Rain's got to be.
Umbrella.
Ooh,
that's a nice little take on that.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, favorite Rain songs.
I'll start the
Text us,
playlist.
610-632.
Playlist will be available at
exactly.
975thefanatic.com.
Purple Rain's obviously a good one, but I like Umbrella a lot.
Yeah, Umbrella, Ella, good one.
You forgot what you were going to say.
Yeah, all this song talk is getting me going. But I want to hear from everybody now that it looks like the starters are going to play for at least a series.
Series.
So you can get in 610-632-0975. You can call us or you can text us. Here's what I'm hoping, Ray. Nick Sirianni, the genius that he is,
Wow.
they're going to pull a bait and switch. They want all of the starters to think they're playing tonight so that they can get ready for the game. Ray's walking away because I called him a genius.
He's exiting.
Yeah,
Ray has left the building.
Ray's like, I can't listen to this.
Well, you said he was scrappy. He gets up and he's leaving.
He's smart. He's a fighter. But really, the genius that
wow, this
that Sirianni
strong.
is, he's coming back.
Strong Sirianni chatter.
I'm calling his bluff. But really, I would be okay with this. You put out there to your starters, look, you're going to play in this game. Force them to have to go through a normal warm-up. Force them to have to go through all of the normal things they would do.
That would not fly with me if I was Lane Johnson or Jalen Hurts.
They've done it before where they've told them right before you're not going to play.
I would not. I'm not saying it hasn't happened. I'm saying that would not fly with me.
Yeah, you want to know. Just be honest with us.
And also, just play. If you're ready to play, if you warm me up as if I'm starting and then you think it's some kind of reward after I've warmed up as if I'm starting for a series and then tell me no, Okay, well, I don't care what you say. I'm going to go ahead and put my helmet on. I'm getting out there because I'm warmed up. I'm ready to go. I want to play.
So he could use the weather. Get them ready and then say, look, we're just not happy with the way the field looks right now. But we'll see. Maybe he doesn't pull a bait and switch on him. That's what I'm rooting for. If this report by Jeff McClain is accurate, which I'm assuming it is because Jeff McClain wouldn't report it if it wasn't,
Right.
I'm hoping it's just a bait and switch because I do not want to see any of the starters tonight. But now that we know that is what's being reported, I want to hear from you. First of all, how do you feel about the starters playing? And Amy, what I want to get into with you coming up is, well, now what are we going to be looking for? Because if the starters on both sides of the ball are going to play a series, what do we want to see? That conversation coming up next.
Fanatic Sports Update.
What?
So during the break, my producer Ray printed out for me the definition of genius because I referred to Nick Sirianni as the genius coach that he is.
You want to go ahead and read?
The coach in the world.
I was doing it a little bit tongue-in-cheek, Ray, but I do get accused of defending Sirianni too much. But the definition of genius.
Job.
He's going to just hit me with these Sirianni's drops. Showing or showing or suggesting great cleverness, skill, or originality. Brilliant.
I would say no.
The reason why I said the genius that he is because I'm hoping that this latest report that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to play their starters for a series tonight is really just a way to get the players thinking that they're playing so that they prepare as if they are, and then right before kickoff, the bait and switch. Hey, listen, you're not going tonight, Jalen. You're not going, Lane. I don't want to see the starters. I don't think you accomplish anything playing them for a series.
I hear you on that. I don't know why it would be a genius move to dupe your players.
Because you forced them to go through their normal routine.
These are grown-ass men. Why are you trying to trick them? What's happening right now?
If they think they have to play in the game and they go through their normal routine, to me, that would be better than only playing them for 5 or 6 plays and risking injury.
Why do you need them to go through their normal routine then?
Why do you need them to play 5 or 6 series?
Exactly though. To your point, like what's the point of warming them up if you're not going to play them? Is that beneficial?
Just so I guess week 1 in Green Bay.
In like a month from now, they'll be ready.
I'm not suggesting they should have done this. What I'm saying is this is the only thing that'll make me feel good about this report. I just don't want them to play. I don't think you accomplish anything. And I want to get into what we'd be looking for from these starters, but I do want reaction from all of you. Do you want to see the starters play? Because it's being reported by Jeff McClain of the Philadelphia Inquirer.
That's the plan.
The plan is to play them for at least a series. I don't like it. Ray doesn't like it. Amy's okay with it. But we're going to go to the phones because MJ from Pottstown has an opinion about it. What's up, MJ? You're on The Fanatic.
Hey, how you doing?
All good, man. What's up?
That's good. Yeah, I'm just going to oppose your view in a very polite way by saying, look, they need to knock the rust off. You got 2 new coordinators. You know what I mean? You got some new players, and they need to see action. If the field conditions are okay, then I'm okay with it. But if the field conditions are not good, then by no means don't put them out there.
I understand what you're saying, MJ, with the new coaches, but I don't think.
Dude, let me ask you a quick question.
Let me hear it.
Okay. Yeah. So Andy Reid, who's a Super Bowl coach, very critically acclaimed, good coach, he puts his starters out there, right?
And I appreciate the call. Look, Andy Reid does it, and there's a couple of schools of thought on this. And yes, Andy Reid
Sirianni has and he hasn't. 2022 was different than 2023.
He hasn't. And Andy Reid, whenever people make that comparison, and MJ, I do appreciate where you're coming from on this, but when people make the comparison to Andy Reid, yes, he's one of the greatest to ever do it. It also doesn't hurt that he's got Patrick Mahomes back there winning Super Bowls with him, not taking anything away from Andy.
Mahomes does play in the preseason, though.
Mahomes plays in the preseason. I just don't think that when you look at Nick Sirianni's teams over the 3 years that he's been here, they have the best record in football in the months of September and October, even better than the Kansas City Chiefs. If you're telling me, as great as Andy Reid is, not taking anything away from him, could go down as the greatest coach we've ever seen, that the reason they win Super Bowls is because of a series on August 9th in a preseason game, I just can't buy that. When you look at Sirianni's history, they're the best team in football in the first 2 months of the year. The fact that the Philadelphia Eagles didn't beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 57 had nothing to do with one series in August. Nothing to do with it. That's why I don't need the risk of playing them for one series. It just doesn't make sense to me. Okay, and then look, what happens if they go out, they play 5 or 6 snaps, and Hurts throws an interception? You bringing them out for another series then?
No, then we freak out.
Then we freak out for a week.
All right, but to your point, what's the philosophy? So obviously it's a season-by-season thing for Nick Sirianni. They have the best record in September and October. Some of those years they played in the preseason. The first year, his 2021 year, they played a lot of them. Like they played almost half a game of the first game. Then in 2022, they played. 2022 was just like how it might be today. Opening drive. 2023, they didn't play at all.
They didn't play at all, and they did start out that season. What was it? 8-0? No, 5-0 before they lost to the Jets. I think 10-1, obviously, before the collapse. But you go back to his rookie season as a coach. I understood playing a lot of your starters that year because you didn't really know who your starters were. Jalen Hurts, that was going to be his first year as a starter. You look at the offense right now. You know all of your starters with the exception of the third wide receiver and the right guard. I don't need to see guys who have already proven to me that they could play at the NFL level. I don't need to see Saquon Barkley get a carry August 9th because it's not going to have any impact October, November, December, January. The only impact it could have is if he gets hurt. To me, him getting a carry or two tonight to knock the rust off doesn't do anything for you down the stretch of this season.
It doesn't. It doesn't mean that that's how they look at it, though. I just think they look at it as get out there. Let's see it for a series. Let's get into football mode because practice and training camp are not football mode. As much as they can try to simulate anything, and I know this isn't the real deal, but it's as close to the real deal as they're going to get. So I think that's the reason behind it, personally. Now, if the field conditions are terrible, then they're going to rethink that overall at all. If the field conditions are really terrible, they won't play the game. Obviously, it's a natural surface down there, and they're trying to drain it. I just texted a friend of mine that lives in Baltimore. She said it's really bad right now, but around 3 o'clock it's supposed to taper off, and then 5 and 6 really taper off, and then nothing at night. So it's really bad. Like the Chesapeake and the Bay, like it's all really crazy. Inner Harbor is really wild right now. But she said it'll be much better by the time the game happens. So we'll see. We'll see what it looks like.
This could also be the PR machine that the Eagles are putting out there. Well, we were planning on playing them,
and then
but then the weather was just too bad. And
couldn't do it.
Now you satisfied the entire fan base because the starters don't play, and you have an excuse for those that wanted them to play, right?
No. You didn't win me over with this one. Guess what? You said you were playing the starters.
Yeah.
Now you're
out.
going to live with that.
Yeah.
You're going to live with telling me that. Now I have to deal with that in my brain, and I have to be scared sitting here for the next however many hours it's going to be. It's math right now. 8 hours. Yeah, I'm going to be terrified for the next 8 hours.
8 hours to the game, but only 5.5 until the pregame show that everybody will be tuned in for right here on The Fanatic. I don't need to see the starters, especially on offense. You know what you have in those guys. The defense, I would be okay with more of the starters only because there's so many question marks on defense as to who the starters are. Zach Bond or Nakobe Dean. Probably need to see both of those guys.
Yep. Send them all out there. Linebacker core, all of you. Get out
because
there.
we don't really know what you have. That's still a competition.
Corners.
So that's where I would
bring
put.
them on. Safeties. Let's
except
go.
Darius Slay.
Yeah, Old Man Slay.
Yeah, Old Man Slay stay.
That's where I would put the qualifier. Any position where it's still a position battle, you play the potential starter.
Well, I don't think Jalen Carter position battle. I'm gonna need to see him out there.
See, I don't need to see Jalen Carter.
I do.
No,
Jordan Davis.
Let's see him.
Yep.
I don't need to see
everybody out
Slay
there.
are the two that I'm taking out.
Yeah.
I don't need to see Carter. I don't need to see Davis.
I do.
I
All
don't
of
even
them.
need to see Bryce Huff. I don't need to see him.
What? You definitely need to see Bryce Huff.
I don't need to see Bryce Huff.
When I talk starters, I think I talk about like the 9 on offense that I feel certain about. Just about everyone else outside
So
of
who
Slay
would you
and
want
CJ, Get on out
So you want
there.
the whole D
Pretty
line.
much.
Pretty
Unless,
much, yeah.
See, like I'm okay with Nolan Smith playing. I want to see him play. But Huff, Sweat, Brandon Graham, no, don't need to see you.
Brandon Graham,
BG
no. Yeah,
and
BG's
Sweat.
not a starter,
Actually, Sweat
though.
I could actually take out of that equation, too.
Yeah, I'm no BG.
No BG,
If you're over
yeah.
35,
Well-
you can sit this one out.
Yeah.
Well, I think they pronounce it. Is it Illa? I-L-L-A? Illa? Well, Illa from Uptown wants to agree with Amy on this. What's up, Illa? Am I saying that right, Illa?
Hello?
Isla?
I don't think.
All right.
All right.
Call us back.
Well, that's what happens. They agreed with me, and they just couldn't.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
yeah.
heard Amy say it so eloquently. They're like, I can't do this any
Don't
better.
think
Yeah.
that's the case.
I'm not going to be able to argue it better than Amy has.
Whatever she said. Whatever she said.
Ditto.
Well, as we're talking about the linebackers, Nick from Massachusetts wants to get in on the linebacker conversation. What's up, Nick? You're on the Fanatic.
What's going on, guys? It's funny. Right when I called in, I said I wanted to talk about Nakobe Dean, and you literally brought it up right after I got on hold. So I just wanted to basically get your guys' perspective. What have you been hearing about Nakobe Dean in terms of his training camp performance so far? Because a little concerning to me that this guy, Zach Bond, who is essentially a special teamer, is like right now being considered penciled in at one of the starting linebacker spots. And I was really hopeful that Dean was going to, step into that role this year, hopefully being healthy and all that. What are you hearing about how he's performed at training camp so far?
Nick, appreciate the call, man. It hasn't been great.
Good.
Yeah, it hasn't been that great.
Vic Fangio say he took a step back at the open practice.
That is correct. So, yeah, Vic Fangio was asked about him, and in typical no-filter form, Fangio, who we appreciate here,
Love it.
he said Nakobe Dean took a step back at the open practice. And Andrew DeCecco, who did the full 4 hours with us here yesterday, talked about how Nakobe still struggles in pass coverage. He's had a very difficult time in pass coverage, and that's an issue because in the NFL, if your linebackers are a liability in the passing game, they're going to get exploited. You saw a lot of it last year with this Eagles team. And to your point about being concerned about Zach Bond, yeah, so am I. The fact that Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles decided we're going to outsmart everybody. We're not going to go out there and sign a Patrick Queen or a Frankie Laveau or even an older guy like a Bobby Wagner. What we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to sign a guy who's pretty much been an edge rusher his entire career, and we're going to make him into a linebacker. That concerns me that they're trying to outsmart the league because when you do that, it doesn't always work out, Amy.
Very rarely does. When you see front offices trying to sign players or draft players or pick up players, and there's a reason that they're either on a draft board further down or they're still out there hanging out in the free agency market or the price for them in a trade is not very high. There's a reason for that. Don't overthink it. Okay, you don't need to overthink anything. They saw something, though, in Zach Bond. And listen, Vic Fangio, he clearly liked what he saw. But this is a guy who has not played this particular position. And it's interesting. Vic Fangio said earlier this week how important the inside linebacker position was and how much it's going to be weighed in on now because of how the offenses are lining up. The fullback is gone. Now you have much quicker, much faster, and wily type of guys that the linebackers are going to be responsible for. So the inside linebacker has taken on a big role in a lot of defenses, especially his, which is obviously mimicked around the league. So for him to say that and in the same breath praise Zach Bond, you're thinking, oh, so you must be seeing something in this guy that no one else saw. And I'm not saying it can't happen because it can. It was just very eye-opening. Zach Bond's name was the first name out of Vic Fangio's mouth when he had his initial press conference, and then now he's heaping a lot of praise. Is it that Zach Bond is really showing up, or is it that Nakobe Dean is just not doing enough to overtake a guy who's had limited reps at the inside linebacker position?
It's certainly frustrating. It really is certainly frustrating. And we're going to continue to talk about the preseason game, Eagles-Ravens. We'll bounce around to the Phillies and still talk about Joel Embiid and the hate that some of you still spew at this man after he became, I heard Andrew Salciunas say it this morning, he became Rocky from Rocky IV last night, saving the United States. So still want to know why people hate on Joel Embiid even though he performed the way that he did. And we'll react to what's going on with the starters having to play tonight, maybe, according to Jeff McClain's report. I don't want him to play. Ray doesn't want him to play.
Play him.
But does Jalen Hurts want them to play? Because we heard from him about that the other day. We'll play that clip for you coming up next.
Mike Missanelli on the Philadelphia
Middays, Bill Colarulo along with Amy Fadul, Ray Dunn behind the glass. We got some breaking news earlier from Jeff McClain. The plan right now is for the Philadelphia Eagles to play their starters for at least a series. And then depending on how that series goes tonight, they may play more. I'm not a big fan of it. I'd rather see them rest any known starters. Anybody that's not in a position battle, I'd rather see them rest these guys. Don't worry about getting them injured. It's not worth it for a series against the Baltimore Ravens. Position battle players, sure. I don't want to see them play. Ray doesn't want to see them play. Amy is okay with it, saying, hey, they need to.
Ray doesn't want to see the offensive starters.
The offensive starters play.
Well, to me, who's a starter on defense, really, when it comes down to it? Like Carter is.
Jalen Carter is.
Carter is. Davis is.
Yeah, Carter, Davis.
Don't need to see him.
Devin White is a starter. I don't need to see Devin White, to be honest.
Yeah, you know what? You were on the bench a lot. You didn't play a ton at the end of last season. Let's get you
on
out
out there.
Well, we'll see
you know
what
what, Amy,
happens.
that's a good qualification. When I think starters, I think offense, because the defense, I think, is just questions across the board.
Across the board.
If you're not Slay, CJ GJ, or Brandon Graham, or Josh Sweat, Sweat, I'll grandfather you in
See,
there.
the list is getting bigger and bigger.
I don't want to see I don't want to see number 19 yet. I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for the change in jersey.
Hideous. Hideous jersey change by Josh Sweat.
An awful number.
Well, he wanted number 9.
I know.
And the Eagles wouldn't let him. And that reminds me, we are honoring Nick Foles today, talking about some of our favorite Philadelphia sports memories, not just for Nick Foles, but I think Nick Foles has the greatest Philadelphia sports memory, at least in my lifetime, the Philly special. So you could text us in some of your other favorite Philly sports memories, 610-632-0975. And I want Ray and Amy to think of their favorite Nick Foles memory, because I have one, not including the Philly special. I have one that I got to see in person that I will tell you it's coming up a little bit later on. But as we debate whether or not the starters should play, specifically the offensive starters, Jalen Hurts, when he spoke to the media, I believe that was on Wednesday, Ray, one of the questions he got was, do you have to play in the preseason?
Not necessarily. I think it's important for me to come out here and practice and really push the threshold in terms of where we are as an offense and where my game is, and I just continue to have those talks and that dialogue with the coaches and Coach Kellen and Coach Doug. And so, like I've said already, I trust Mr. Lurie, I trust Howard, and I trust Nick to lead us in the right direction with all these different things.
Just like Ray Dunn would say, he trusts Nick Sirianni to lead him in the right direction, Ray. Just like you say.
I'm not doing a good enough job.
Just like Ray says every day. But he starts that answer to the question, do you need to play in the preseason? Not necessarily.
But I also trust my coaches. Also, I love that he calls them, it's like when you're a little kid, you call it like Miss Amy.
Yeah, Mr. Lurie.
Ray. No, he called him Mr. Kellen or Coach Kellen. Coach Nick, like that. He called him by their first names.
Well, he's a very respectful robot, Jalen
That's like
Hurts.
that's what little kids do. It's like, oh, who's your teacher? It's Miss Amy.
We were talking yesterday.
I love that.
There was that story about the 2 astronauts that are stuck in space. I don't know if you saw that. They're going to be stuck in space for another 6 months. It was supposed to be a week trip. So I threw out the question, if you had to be stuck in space with either Nick Sirianni or Jalen Hurts, which one would it be?
Jalen Hurts.
You going with Jalen?
Absolutely.
I'm going with Jalen, too.
He might not talk to me for like a month, and that'll be just fine.
Yeah, just fine. And if anybody's going to keep the main thing, Ray, of getting back to earth, as you said yesterday. But Sirianni, we got some crazy text on that, Amy. Somebody said Sirianni would eat me.
Wow.
But that was an interesting conversation.
Again, aggressive.
I've said a lot about the guy. I would never go that far to suggest the guy's a cannibal.
Yeah, that seems a little aggressive.
It's a little much.
But it would be constant competition for 6 months in everything that you did. Every little thing in that small, confined
How tired
space.
of his stories would you get?
Yeah, a lot of Mount Union stories.
Get me started.
Hey, I don't mind the D3 stories. I played D3.
It's nothing against the level in which the stories are
Mount
coming
Union
from.
was a
It's
powerhouse,
the frequency in which they are told.
I respect Mount Union for what they are as a football institution.
Powerhouse.
I don't need to hear about Mount Union when they've lost 6 of 6. We're not going to do this again.
No, we're not.
Not going to go down this path.
Well, how about
a
the
joyful
story the
path.
other day when they were talking about conditioning and Sirianni went into a whole thing about high school wrestling coach who taught him a conditioning drill. See, that's where he needs to be careful, though, because we joke about it. But I'm sure as much as these players like Nick Sirianni, we have heard that they like Nick Sirianni. When you start to constantly bring in stories about high school football and high school wrestling, these guys have at some of the biggest college football programs in the country, and now they're playing for billion-dollar teams in the NFL. And it's really? Our coach is talking to a high school wrestling coach about drills we should do? Get the hell out of here. That's where he's got to be careful about losing these guys.
Yeah, I played for Georgia. I won a national championship, and you're telling me about a guy in high school. It doesn't mean that drills can't be, universal. Maybe couch it in a way and just say, like, a coach told me this. Filter yourself.
And look, every once in a while is okay. It just seems to be every single time he answers a question. But, well, hopefully Nick Sirianni's going to get it right tonight, because I don't think any starters should play. Unless they're in a position battle, I don't need to see them on the field tonight. But we still want to hear from you, 610-632-0975. How do you feel about the report? The starters are going to play for at least a series. That's the plan right now. Depending on how that series goes, they may play more. You can get in by phone or by text, 610-632-0975. We're also going to talk about some of our favorite Philadelphia sports memories in light of Nick Foles calling it a career, who's got one of the greatest, if not the greatest, sports memory with the Philly special and the Super Bowl 52 championship. And I want to get back into the conversation about the hate that the haters still have for Joel Embiid, even though he goes out there yesterday and contributes to the Team USA win. And if it wasn't for Joel, not saying he's the sole reason they won, but if Joel Embiid was not on the court yesterday, Team USA is playing for the bronze this weekend, not the gold. But yet still, people find ways to hate him. Even our own John Kincade sent Amy Fadul a text message about this that we're going to get into coming up next. Phil Colarulo, Amy Fatul, Ray Dunn. Middays here on The Fanatic. Talking about a lot today. Obviously, you got the Philadelphia Eagles tonight against the Baltimore Ravens. First preseason game. First time we'll see them against an opponent since the wild card game against the Bucs. Jeff McClain's reporting the plan is to play at least a series tonight for the starters. So we're getting your reaction to that. Are you okay with that? I don't want to see the starters play. Ray doesn't want to see the offensive starters play. And Amy says, hey, they all need to play.
Let's give me a series. I'm not asking for the game.
So we want your opinions on that, 610-632-0975. But we're also talking about our fighting Phils, who have won 4 of 5. JT Realmuto's hitting now, so watch out. And I am officially declaring the NL East race over. It is over. It was over months ago, but then we started to question that. Now it is officially over. The Braves, if the season ended today, wouldn't even make the playoffs. The Mets would somehow, which is crazy. And we're also talking about our man, Joel Embiid. And I say our man, Joel Embiid, referring to me, Amy, and Ray. Because there are still people in this city, which I can't understand, will not give this man credit when he deserves credit. They have to find ways to qualify what he does. Yeah, but. And yesterday, the best players in the world leaned on Joel to win a do-or-die game that if they would have lost, would have been one of the biggest upsets in the history of the USA men's basketball team. Maybe not that drastic, but it would have been pretty bad.
Yeah.
They were, 17-point favorites?
Yeah, it was like 16.5, I think was the opening line once it finally.
Would have been bad.
And it would have
bad.
been pretty bad.
Epically bad.
And they would have been playing this weekend for a bronze medal. Would have had no shot at going to the gold medal game because that game was to go to the gold medal game, which is tomorrow. But yet, even still, even though Joel Embiid did that, even though LeBron James said after the game to the team in the huddle after, we relied on you all, referring to Curry and Embiid, we still have people who will not give this man the credit he deserves. And I want to know, I threw out the question to start the show. I'm throwing it out again. Why do haters gotta hate when it comes to Joel Embiid? What is it about Joel that prevents you from just admitting when this man does something that deserves our praise? And our own John Kincade from the morning show, who just texted me as well. Let's see what he's saying to me. Okay. I like his text to me. His text is, glad to see you are finally joining. The Phillies are winning the NL East. What that party started, what took you so damn long? I agree, John. I was never overreacting, but I was not necessarily saying it was over, but I'm with you. But where I'm not with you, John, is as I talk about this Joel Embiid conversation. We talked about it earlier in the show. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. John sent Amy a text. Amy, I don't know if we're violating any trust here, but if he texted you, he wants it on the air, I think.
He knows we're on the air. He starts it with saying devil's advocate, which I appreciate. Only one guy on the Serbian roster will be good enough to be on Team USA roster, which isn't true, but that's okay. I see what he's saying. So though it was an impressive comeback and performance, how impressed am I supposed to be when you were 17.5-point favorites? It is a valid point on certain things. I will say that Bogdan Bogdanovic could have absolutely played on Team USA. That guy was on fire in that game. It's the best that Serbia shot from 3. Sometimes you catch teams lightning in a bottle. They're also much more of a team. But anyway, his point of you can't be impressed because you should have beaten that team by 17 points, it's a little disingenuous. To me.
To me, what that signals is, if the Philadelphia 76ers go on a long postseason run this year and Joel Embiid plays well, you know what you're going to get? What are you going to get, Amy? You know what's going to come out of it.
That's just because of Paul George.
Exactly. There is nothing. If you hate on Joel Embiid, you are going to continue to hate on this man. And I just don't get it. I don't get why we can't acknowledge the fact that, yeah, sure, Serbia, they don't have a lot of NBA players on it. But to Amy's point, Bogdanovic probably could make a lot of NBA rosters right now. And
He's on an NBA roster.
Oh, he is. He's on Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Hawks?
There was another guy on their team, though, that played pretty well. I'm trying to remember the name. They all end in itch.
There's a lot of them.
Regardless, they shot like 40% from 3 in that game.
Yeah, they couldn't
It was
miss.
like that. It was their best 3-point shooting performance of the Olympics.
And then you have
They didn't miss until the end.
The MVP in Jokic out there.
He
By the
crumbled.
way, 26 and a half minutes, I believe the two shared the floor. America outscored Serbia by 16 points in that time.
That would be a plus 16 for Team USA.
Yeah, but that's only because that's what you're going to get. That's only because.
Hey, he had a better team around him. And in that time that he was on the floor with Jokic on the floor, with the better team around him, the better team was winning by about the amount that the spread was.
So that's
there expectation met.
And that's the thing. When you saw the second unit, and I qualified that because technically the second unit for Team USA includes Kevin Durant, and he's not a second unit player, but whatever, you have to have somebody out there. And it was Anthony Edwards, who had an absolutely atrocious game. He was a liability, big time on defense. And then you had Derek White, no Tater Tot, no Jason Tatum, once again, against Serbia.
Man. I'm sure people are going to be talking a lot about Tatum, right?
No one, I'm sure Boston is like, let's win whatever. They lost the game at certain instances and whatever. But for me, it comes down to the very end of the day. Either you thought that he was having trouble getting in the groove with his Olympics team, and you can praise him for finally, figuring it out, or you're just not going to acknowledge it in and of itself. Because you can't say he won, you had a more talented team around him, and then 3 days ago say he can't win because he has the more talented team around. You can't have it both ways. That's just my biggest gripe when I see some of the haters. Like, if you're going to discount what he did, fine, whatever. But don't say it's because he had a good team, because you just said that the reason he's not playing well is because he doesn't know how to play on a good team.
Let's just say he's not on this team. Who's the big man that steps up yesterday?
It wasn't AD.
Yeah, it wasn't going to be Anthony
fouls
Davis.
And his poor defense.
I don't know, folks.
It wasn't Bam Adebayo.
This great American team that we've got.
Here's the problem I have with all this. Some of the arguments that are being made aren't outrageous arguments. Like, John just texted me again. Who are you taking off Team USA to bring on Bogdanovich? Maybe Halliburton,
or
maybe Derek White. But let's just assume. Let's agree with John. You're not taking anybody. All of these arguments may be valid arguments, but why are they being made? If this wasn't Joel Embiid, there's not a single person out there that would be making these arguments. If this was baseball and Bryce Harper came through in a do-or-die game to send this team to the gold medal game, it would be Bryce Harper is the best baseball player we've ever seen. Bryce Harper, oh my God, I love you, Bryce. I love you. Throw me a Fanatic bandana, please. I can't take it. Why, when Joel does something, we have to make these arguments to take away from it? That's my point. Not saying John's arguments aren't good ones. Why are they even being made? If it was any other Philadelphia athlete, we would have him on our shoulders like he was Rudy, walking him down to City Hall in front of Ben Franklin. My God. Really? I don't get it.
I don't know, but throw me a Fanatic headband was great.
You also don't have to take Bogdanovich off the team for anyone. That's not the point. In a one-game setup, some guy can get hot, and you have to overcome that. Team USA overcame that. This is why sometimes we talk about wins like they're losses. They're going to play for the gold medal. That's a win. Yes, they were favored by so much more, but they got off to a hot start early. Team USA responded, and one of the biggest things that's been used against Joel Embiid in his entire career in big games has been when things don't go his way, he mentally crumples. He's not there. That's been a narrative that's been driven against him for years and years.
On our YouTube chat, someone says, oh, well, he quit against Boston.
Oh, for the
okay. Was yesterday the Boston game?
That's what I'm saying.
Years ago.
Why? Help me understand. Send me a text, pick up the phone and call. Help me understand why you won't just celebrate that one of our own, our Philadelphia 76er, Joel Embiid, was the savior yesterday for Team USA, sending them to the gold medal game. Why can't we enjoy it without making arguments? Yeah, but. If it was any other Philadelphia athlete, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Why Joel? I want to hear from you. 610-632-0975. I think we got a text this morning on this, Ray.
Yeah, we did. This is from Dan in Yardley. I think it's only a vocal minority that you hear not praising Joel for his performance yesterday. However, I think if I had to guess why there are people in Philadelphia who could watch that game yesterday and feel anything other than pride knowing that's our guy who chose to play for our country and came up huge in a do-or-die moment, it might have to do with the amount of do-or-die games he's played in while representing our city, and whether it be due to injury or fatigue or whatever the reason, he's yet to show up in that high-leverage situation for the Sixers, so I can see some fans being a little frustrated in that regard.
Why can't we just be happy for our guy? That's all I took from that text message. Why can't we be happy that one of our own is the reason why the United States will play for the gold medal tomorrow against France? Why?
Because people don't like joy sometimes. It is interesting because you're sitting there, you're trying to nitpick about a guy, and then you're going back to, remember 2 years ago in the playoffs he didn't show up in Game 6 against the Celtics. Okay, yeah, maybe he had a rough one. That was a completely different team, completely different scenario. The knock on that he hasn't shown up in big moments. He showed up in that big moment in a big way. He was a crucial element of them winning that game. If you take him out and you put in Anthony Davis, who was saddled with 3 fouls early on, who has struggled and defensively is not the same presence as Joel Embiid or size, or you put in Bam Adebayo. Listen, I love those two players. They're played for my alma mater. Wonderful. But no, not on the same level. When you watch that game and see how Joel Embiid affected the game on both the offense and defensive side, setting a screen, big-time screen for the Steph Curry 3, that's not going to show up in the box score. Tipping the ball out so it's going to be rattled around and eventually gets to Team USA's hands. Getting the and one. There's a lot of things that he does, and people are just going to look at it and be, they were going to win because they were going to win anyway because they were more talented. They were more talented because they had Joel Embiid on the court. This is a guy where at the beginning of the Olympics, he struggled. Obviously, he's still working his way back from certain injuries. We have to remember, he had a torn meniscus that he had surgery on. He also had Bell's palsy in the postseason. He had some stuff he had to work back from. He had to try a new system. He had to work his way into this entire thing. He worked it out, and he came through in the biggest moment when they needed him the most. He couldn't have played how he did against Serbia, Game 1, how he did in this one, and they would not have won. That's the bottom line.
And I'm seeing Voudreau on our YouTube chat. He's underperformed every playoff.
That's not factual.
Completely inaccurate. Number one, I hate that we even
playoffs?
Every playoffs.
So 2019, you're just going to throw that out there?
2019, even last year against the Knicks, Joel Embiid didn't lose that series.
He had one leg.
One leg, and he still led the entire NBA in points per game for the whole playoffs. He averaged 33 points a game. It wasn't Joel that lost that series. The fact that we even have to have that argument, though, this is my point. Why are we even talking about what Joel's done in playoffs? Why can't we just be sitting here today excited about what he did yesterday?
It's like when you look too far ahead or you look too far back. Live in the moment. The moment was amazing. It was an amazing finish. It was an amazing comeback. Don't overthink it. Embrace it. Be joyful about it. And, let's move on to the gold medal game. He was critical in that win.
Yes, he was. So I want to hear from you. 610-632-0975. Help me understand why we can't just be singing the praise of one of our own, one of our Philadelphia athletes who brought USA to the gold medal game. You can get in 610-632-0975. We're going to go to the phones because Steve from Elkins Park wants to get in on this conversation, and he just dropped off.
Oh, that's all right.
Steve, I was just going to you, my man. Was just going to you. Well, Mike from West Philly wants to get in. What's up, Mike? You're on The Fanatic.
Yeah, what's up, man? All I want to say is whoever that man was in the Olympics, I want to see him for us in the playoffs.
You talking about Bogdanovich, or are you talking about Embiid?
No, Embiid. Who is this masked man? Where he come from?
Look, it's the same. It's the same guy who was there for the Knicks series. The problem was he wasn't 100% healthy against the Knicks, and when he got off the court, they couldn't stop the bleed.
Yeah, he also didn't have all these guys.
I'm just saying, I want to see that fire. I
think you see some of that fire. I do, honestly. And it was interesting, to Mike's point, seeing the fire. It was really great to see. Joel Embiid has talked about every time he touches the ball over there, he gets booed because it's a French crowd and whatever else. We all know the backstory there. But that was about he's always demonstrative, but he was really fired up after that game. They all were. Steph Curry was on fire. And
you talking about when he's doing the suck it to the crowd again?
Yeah, the DX. Well, just the
DX.
The DX. But also, he's just, waving his hands. He was super fired up. They all were, as they should have been. You see that at times from Joel Embiid. You see him fired up. He's not an overly, yelling guy, but you hear it and you see it. And you've seen it in moments of the postseason, certainly of the regular season as well. He is who he is. And I feel like trying to mitigate or, take down a notch what he's done is just
well, our YouTube chat is saying Neil, who he says he feels like he's caught between being a hater and forced overpraise. On one hand, he was one of the factors they won yesterday, but calling him Rocky and Captain America
Okay, we're obviously kidding about
seems a bit much.
Because it's Captain America.
Yes.
We all know that.
Yeah.
Look, I am kidding, but at the same time, if this was any other Philadelphia athlete, I wouldn't be the one calling him Captain America. Our phones would be blowing up about how amazing they were. I keep going back to Bryce Harper. If this was Bryce, who didn't perform well throughout, because look, baseball may be in the Summer Olympics, right?
Go back
with
to the
pros.
World Baseball Classic. Trey Turner had never played for the Phillies. We had yet to see Trey Turner don a Phillies uniform.
And the praise he was
It
getting.
was like, look at this guy.
And it was like, the world is saved. We've got Trey Turner. By the way, it didn't win that tournament. Trey Turner
That's right.
was everything that was promised, and for 4 months he stunk. And we wrapped our arms around the guy. Great moment for us as a fan base.
He's a little easier to wrap your arms around than Joel, though. He's a lot smaller.
Yeah, but I don't know. Joel, I think you can make it work. I think, maybe we get on a ladder and you hug the guy. I don't know what you need to wrap your arms around the guy. Regardless, Trey Turner had never played for the Phillies. Not once. In fact, Trey Turner was a key part in other teams in the National League having success while the Phillies stunk. He chose to come here and then went to the World Baseball Classic and then was incredible. We loved it. We were all, yeah, he's here. He's ours. He chose us. That's awesome. He stunk for 4 months. We wrapped our arms around him. Embiid chooses to play for America, puts on a big performance for America, and half of my timeline yesterday was, well, he never did that for me. What? He's literally, I don't know, man. Maybe you're not rooting for Team USA. Maybe that you don't feel the connection on that one. Fine. If that's the way you feel, whatever. I can't understand why you would have that mentality today. The man also, when we talk about the comparison between the NBA and Team USA, you kind of felt like you were watching a Sixers game because when he came off the floor, the team was not as good.
It was
No, it's
atrocious.
exactly right.
He was plus 15 in a game they won by 4.
Yeah.
How are we going to start picking apart the guy when he basically, with his plus minus on the floor, pretty much covered the spread of what the game was supposed to be? The expectation for what Team USA was supposed to do was there when Embiid was on the floor, and he was a driving factor of them coming back and winning.
I'm working Tyrone's drop board today, but that was outstanding, Ray. You are spot on. Steve from Elkins Park is calling back, and I don't know what his position is on this. I just know he wants to talk about Joel. What's up, Steve? You're on The Fanatic.
What's up, guys? I'm calling in to talk about a little bit about Joel Embiid. So I'm a big Sixers fan. I love Joel Embiid. But my issue with it is I don't know if he gets that much credit for succeeding in the Olympics. I know he was getting torn down a little bit in the beginning about not being in shape. But when you have a team that good, I can't say like, oh, congratulations, I'm so hyped that Embiid's leading us. Like it doesn't matter. Like and the reason I say it is if Jason Tatum did something like this, I wouldn't care either. Like I think we're being a little bit biased.
But Steve, let me ask you: if Jason Tatum did something like that, you think people in Boston are praising him, or you think they're saying, "Yeah, but," like we are here?
No, he brought him a title.
I agree. If the people in Boston would,
He did bring them a title. Amy makes a good point there,
no
Steve.
wrong right now.
Yeah, no, I'm just more like it's the Olympics. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
When Embiid agreed to play for the U.S., he knew he was going to have a loaded team. It's not like I'm like, oh, congratulations, we won because of Embiid. Like, yeah, they should be winning. He should be dominating when he's on a team with that many great players. So for me, it's more he's doing what he's supposed to. The U.S. wins this every time they play it for the last, 4 Olympics. So I'm not like jumping for joy and trying to celebrate Embiid showing that he knows how to win. He needs to do it in the NBA with a regular team and not a team full of all-NBA players against Serbia who has 2 guys.
Well,
Appreciate the call. He's not wrong. But why today?
You can have both.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
You can say you're supposed to win that game because and keep in mind, Team USA has not always dominated. There was a time where they had all NBA players out there and they were so good. Allen Iverson was on that team. They didn't win.
And you look at it.
You can't just roll out there and be like, oh, we're the best and we're just going to win the game. That's not how it works. You have to show up. They were down 17 points. They were down 14
and that's
late
part
in
of
the
it.
third.
And that's part of it as well that I was impressed with Joel. Think about the pressure on USA yesterday. When you go down 17 points in a game where if you lose that game, it would be an epic failure. You would be talked about for the next 4 years as what a disappointing team. You'd have to wear that for your entire life that you were a part of Team USA that got beat by Serbia at the Summer Olympics in 2024? Oh, my God. And even with all that pressure on, Joel Embiid, not LeBron, even though he played well at times and has carried this team, but not LeBron,
Triple-double.
not any of these other players kept you in that game when you needed it the most. Joel did. That's why we're giving him his flowers today. Yes, there are superstars on that team. Yes, they should have dominated Serbia, but the reality is they didn't. And when they needed somebody to step up and keep the team in the game that helped them win, Joel was a part of it. Why we can't just be happy about that today, I don't understand. Even LeBron James said after the game.
So did Steph.
And so did Steph. And I wish I could play the clip, but I can't because LeBron dropped the F-bomb every other word. But removing the F-bombs, he said, Chef and Joe, you all carried us tonight. LeBron James, who we talk about is me, gave all the credit to Curry and Embiid, but yet our own fan base is refusing. And it's not all of you. I don't want to talk in generalities. It's not all of you. But why some of you, and maybe even a lot of you, won't just sit here today and be happy that our 76er, our star, our Joel Embiid helped get Team USA to the gold medal game. Why we have to keep qualifying it, Amy?
Yeah, it's incredible to me. You can point out that Steph Curry had 30 points and 17 in the first. You can point that out. He was incredible. You don't win without Steph Curry. You don't win without LeBron James. And you don't win without Joel Embiid. And you don't win without KD. You have to have. There's a reason those guys are talking about it. They're mentioning Joel. Joel struggled mightily. Steph Curry struggled at times during these Olympics too, by the way. But they stepped up when they needed to. And I feel like you can have both. You can give praise to Joel Embiid and not be like, well, LeBron's the reason they won. Okay, LeBron is one of the reasons that they won.
Yes.
It's a team freaking game.
It's a team sport. But that only works.
Whatever.
That only works when it fits your arguments.
That's right.
And talking about team sports, when we get back, we'll switch it back over to the Philadelphia Eagles because they're going to be back on the field tonight going up against the Baltimore Ravens. It's being reported that their starters are going to play at least a series. We'll continue to get your reactions to that, whether or not you're for them playing at all. I don't want to see them play. Amy does. But if they are going to play, I want to talk more about what we want to see. Assuming the starters on offense do play, assuming the starters on defense do play, what do we want to see from them? And thank God we're not seeing what's going on in Dallas happening here in Philadelphia because, man, could never imagine Jeffrey Lurie doing what Jerry Jones did yesterday. I'll explain coming up next. Heating and air conditioning. Get 0% financing for 72 months and a $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at ServiceFirstHVAC.com. Spending a lot of time today talking about Joel Embiid and what he did yesterday for men's basketball and the USA, helping them get to a gold medal game. We'll continue that conversation coming up a little bit later because I still want answers as to why some won't just give him the credit that he deserves from yesterday. We got to constantly qualify the praise. Yeah, but this, yeah, but that. We'll talk more about that later. But the Philadelphia Eagles back on the field tonight against an opponent for the first time in a long time, Baltimore Ravens. And it was reported, Jeff McClain, they're going to play at least a series, the starters. Now, I wonder if our Twitter poll, Ray, has changed now that some are hearing that the Eagles starters are going to play. What do we got on the Twitter poll?
You would wonder, after you see all these people get a chance to get to see the first teamers out there for a series, would they be more interested? Would we go from 36% of people being not at all interested to a lower number? Well, we did go to a lower number. We went from 36% all the way down to 35%. And actually, a couple votes came in as I'm reading this, so it's now down to 34%. So some more people interested, but not many more. 34% of the vote saying not at all watching this game tonight. 25% saying they're watching the entire game. 22% saying they're watching the first quarter. So the first quarter is making a little bit of gains here. First half, 19% still.
Yeah,
people, they just can't get into it, Amy.
First quarter, you're going to see the starters, and then you'll be like, all right. But it'll still be on in the background. Don't you think? Like, people, if you tuned it in for the first quarter, you'll probably just keep it on.
And go from during the Phillies game through the commercials.
Like 2 hours later, you'll...
Yeah, through the commercials. There are a lot of things to watch, though. Even though I'm not a fan of preseason games, I wish they would just get rid of them altogether, which they never will. There are a lot of things to watch for the entire game tonight, really. We could talk about the starters now, but if you look at the third and fourth quarter, there's going to be guys who are battling for positions. There's going to be guys battling for roster spots. But look, let's first answer the question. Starters are going to play, and we threw it out there. How do you feel about that? I think we got a few texts on that, Ray, whether or not people want to see the starters at all.
Yeah, some people checking in on just the idea of this team getting anyone out there and what it's going to take. We had a couple people that were, I would say, cautiously optimistic to see them, of like, yeah, it's nice to see him. But we got a text in from Big Dom. I'm not sure. You know, Big Dom, there's a Big Dom we all know.
That is not that Big Dom. This is another one of my buddy Big Doms. I know who it is. Yeah.
You know multiple Big Doms.
I do. I know the Big Dom. Used to work with him at the Eagles. And then Big Dom, this is a guy I think I golf with, if it's who I think it is. But go ahead.
I want to check it on the rain conversation earlier. Have you ever seen The Rain? It's the greatest rain song. And then wanted to jump in with the Eagles conversation, the starters. They're in a position to reset the culture of the team with all the veterans retiring, set the tone that you're going to be a tough-nosed, grinding-type team from here on out and have the starters play at least a quarter in every single preseason game, especially the defense. The defense should play a half.
Love you, Big Dom. Couldn't disagree more.
That seems too much. I do like the Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Have you ever seen?
Didn't need you to necessarily sing it, but I appreciate that.
I sound like them.
Yeah, in your mind.
Yep.
But couldn't disagree more. I don't want to see them play at all. I don't need to see the starters on either side of the ball. There are some positions on defense where you don't have a starter, play them. On offense, if you don't know who your right guard is, play them. But any other position where you know you're the starter, I don't need to see them play. But right before we went to break earlier, I said, thank God what's going on in Dallas isn't going on here, Amy.
I think you could use that pretty much every offseason for the last 20 years, but this one has been especially exciting.
This is getting out of hand now. So everyone knows, or probably should know, that CeeDee Lamb wants a new contract and has not reported yet to training camp. Well, Jerry Jones goes in front of the media yesterday, and he says, I don't have any urgency to get the contract done with CeeDee Lamb. That in of itself was bad enough. Well,
idiot.
Idiot is correct. Well, it gets worse, Ray. Because then CeeDee Lamb on Twitter reposts that video with the comment, LOL, which means laugh out loud, Amy, if you didn't know.
LOL.
We may have to explain some of these.
Monday you might have to.
Yeah, we may have to explain some of them.
That'll be Ray's job as the token
Ray will have to explain
guy
those.
under 40.
But then it gets even worse. So Jerry Jones says that. CeeDee Lamb retweets it, LOL, And then Micah Parsons, who also wants a new contract, retweets the LOL.
I like it. I like that you pronounce LOL.
LOL.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'm the old guy here.
I don't
Nobody
think that
pronounces
that's how
LOL. LOL.
I don't want to say old because I don't think it's an old thing, but I think I'm trying to choose my words carefully with
This
you.
is going to be good.
Your generation of
here we go.
communicating. I feel like the lull kind of fits for your age frame because
He doesn't use it, but he's okay because you can use it.
You lose. Good day, sir.
Yeah, I mean, again, it kind of fits with your generation of communicating and the way you would text.
All right.
That just feels like a fit there.
That would. My generation.
It's okay for you.
So anyway,
Yeah,
things
did you
are
have a
falling
BlackBerry?
apart. I did have a BlackBerry.
Yeah, okay. See, that fits.
Low.
That's a good movie, too, by the way. Did you see the movie about BlackBerry, how they refused to change when the iPhone came out?
Yeah. I also saw the one about Blockbuster when they said Netflix.
Yes.
That doesn't seem like a good idea.
BlackBerry, I don't want to get too sidetracked here, but BlackBerry did not think anybody would accept a phone that didn't have a keyboard. And they thought what separated them from the iPhone was the keyboard, that people needed it. They needed it. Nope, people didn't need it, and now BlackBerry is defunct, I believe.
Yeah.
So
That's tough.
pretty interesting.
But you did strike me as a guy that dropped some lulls.
I'm
going to
lull
BlackBerry.
all over you. Anyway,
Excuse me?
I don't know what that means.
Me neither.
I don't know what that
I
means.
don't like that at all.
I think that's going to go out of context later on in the show. But anyway, thank God we're not Dallas. Thank God we're not Dallas. But what are we looking for tonight? Whether the starters play or not, Amy, one of the things that I want to see more than anything is how the Eagles handle the kickoff tonight. And it's funny because as I was about to talk about that, our man Terrell from Philly wants to check in on the kickoff. What's up, Terrell?
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Doing well, my man. How are you?
I'm all right. So I was thinking the same thing you're thinking. I don't know if you guys follow Baldy on Twitter.
Yeah, great follow.
Yeah, but he got something. He had another point, like as far as blocking schemes, and like he was setting up he had a whole post yesterday about the kickoff return, and I want to see if we can create an advantage off of that. He's expecting scoring to go up, and all we need to do is get Jake Elliott 20, 30 yards, and maybe we in field goal range already. Like I think we can have a high scoring offense, and I want to see if we got an advantage with this new kickoff rule.
Appreciate the call, Terrell. Here's the problem I have with the kickoff rule, and Amy and I, we've talked about this before. If the Eagles get good at it, teams are just going to take the touchback.
Yeah.
Because the punishment of kicking the ball into the end zone only brings it to the 30. So if the Eagles do get really good at it, if Michael Clay comes up with a great scheme with the players they have to get these great returns, teams are going to say, all right, we'll just give you the ball at the 30. We're not going to have an opportunity to return it, and it's going to go back to exactly what it was last year, a ceremonial play.
And I think that was the thing when we talked about the rule change. If they had made it 35, it would have been a real deterrent, I think.
And then you would have had more returns.
Yeah. But as it is now, I mean, it's 5 yards. I think you'll see some real adjustments to that going forward. It'll be fun to watch. It definitely has like much more of like a XFL type of vibe when you see it moved out that far. But I think that you'll have some creativity. It'll just probably be like a couple weeks in. You're like, I don't know.
It'll be fun. What else is fun is the summer games. Here's an update.
Update on the 2024
Welcome back in, Middays. Bill Colarulo, Amy Fadul with you today on this Football Friday. Talking about a lot, though, on a Football Friday because we got the Eagles and Ravens tonight. Looks like the starters are going to play for at least a series, which I disagree with. We're also talking about Joel Embiid's performance yesterday, helping carry Team USA to the gold medal game. We got the Fightin' Phils, won another one.
They're back.
They are officially back. The NL East is officially over, in my opinion, although I think the magic number's 40 now. But it could be, might as well be 100 with the way the Braves are playing right now. And JT Realmuto looked good last night. So we're talking about all of that. But let's focus on this Philadelphia Eagles game, Amy. Because if the starters do play, outside of what I said I wanted to see with the kickoff, if the starters do play, let's talk about the offense for a second. I can't even get excited because I don't want them to play. But if they do, if they do play, this is why I keep going back to why I don't want them to play. Because what I want to see with this offense is I want to see how creative Kellen Moore is going to be. You're not going to get that tonight.
Nope.
I want to make sure that they include the quarterback run. You're not going to get that tonight. They better not have Jalen Hurts running the football tonight. So I guess all I want to see outside of no injuries from the offense is a nice, clean, efficient drive.
I think the cleanliness of the drive is what you're looking for, right?
No miscommunications.
Handoffs look good.
The snap looks good. The handoff looks good. Jalen Hurts goes through his progressions. Everybody knows their assignments. That's what I want to see.
I think that's what you'll see in one series. You'll see, all right, this play is designed to do this. It's going to be a vanilla version of that play. It is executed perfectly. The communication at the line was good. The handoff, if there was one, was clean. Call it a day. You get down the series. You get some points on the board. See ya.
Can't wait to overreact to a false start.
Jordan Mailata made them run gassers at the end.
Yeah, those are correctable mistakes, though. Those are self-inflicted wounds that you should not have. So I am going to overreact. What we're really going to overreact to is if Hurts throws the interception, because he hasn't thrown one we keep hearing during training camp. If he throws one tonight, people are going to lose their minds.
Be a great bit. Being like, I've been so good at practice.
Check me out.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a disaster if he does, because then it's going to be, they're clearly the Eagles' defense doesn't have enough because they're not challenging Hurts in practice, and we played real players. He threw an interception. I can hear that call right now.
There's going to be a take.
No Lamar tonight, my understanding.
I mean, the man said
he hasn't played the preseason last couple of years. We get Josh Johnson, though.
Hey, now that's something.
Yeah.
Same Josh Johnson that Reddick knocked out of the NFC Championship.
That's the guy.
Still around.
Same Josh Johnson.
The backup quarterback is a study right there.
But
very impressive.
He's done it well, too. Like the
better than
gathering.
Chase Daniel?
No.
I feel like that's like the epic.
Yeah, Chase Daniels.
He just
good.
keeps popping up.
But Josh Johnson's like 37.
That's true.
Like he's backing up Lamar Jackson. I don't think you feel like you could do the same offense with Josh Johnson as you could do with Lamar Jackson. The fact that he's got the job is pretty impressive.
I don't think there's another quarterback in the league that could do what Lamar Jackson does.
Right, but I'm saying to go from the dynamic offense of Lamar Jackson to Josh Johnson feels like a little bit of a
it's a different.
I think one of your
game.
Kentucky guys is one of the backup quarterbacks.
Is he?
Yeah, on this Ravens
for the Ravens team?
Yeah.
Like the third string guy?
Yeah, one of the fourth. I was looking at getting ready for the week, and I was
wasn't the Kentucky quarterback the one that was like 300 pounds? Remember that big fat quarterback?
Are you talking about Jared Lorenzen?
I think so.
Yeah, of course you are. The round mound of touchdown?
Yes,
the Pillsbury throw boy? First of all, Jared Lorenzen.
Yes, Jared Lorenzen.
Jared Lorenzen single-handedly, he passed away sadly, single-handedly had SEC throwing records.
I didn't know he passed away.
He did a couple of years ago, unfortunately. He single-handedly had SEC passing records. Wrap your brain around that. A guy that played at Kentucky in football.
Like the butterbean of quarterbacks.
I believe he was also an all-state basketball player at Kentucky, in the state of Kentucky, for his high school.
Just a
very good athlete.
Great
He was a large human. He was bigger than most of the offensive linemen when he played.
On the anniversary of Michael Lorenzen's no-hitter, Jared Lorenzen was the first name that came up. The first Lorenzen that came up today.
Ray is correct.
I was at Michael Lorenzen's no-hitter last year.
And just like Nick Foles, he had that huge moment and then never did anything else.
Michael Lorenzen?
Yeah.
He was just picked up. I saw him on the trade.
Yeah, he was traded. Did he go Royals from the Rangers, I believe?
That sounds right.
There was a lot today in sports history. I'll get into that a little bit later because something happened today in 1988 that was a pretty big deal as well, but not Philadelphia related. But it is a football Friday, Ray. And even though it's the preseason, we should be excited. And I'm going to go to our man, Chris from Pennsauken, because he's going to the game tonight, and he is excited. What's up, Chris? You're on The Fanatic.
Bill, Amy, Ray, what up?
What up, Chris?
Love the energy, my man. You're headed down there now?
It just said we welcome you to Maryland. I'm 57 miles out and eating some blue claw crabs. I got a case of lager, a bottle of Tito's. My brother and my sister are flying in. And we're going to go watch a little preseason football, baby.
I love it. Let's get a little Eagles chant, Chris.
Nice.
Dude, I am so pumped. I just want to see the young Bucks in the back. Mitchell and White. I think White's going to dominate this year. I think everybody's underestimating that kid. My brother lives in Kansas, so he flew up because you watch him play. I'm pumped. JoJo did a great job. You guys are doing a great job. We start this mission right now today. Let's go Birds. E-A-G-L-E-S. Eagles. Fly. Eagles fly.
Enjoy it, Chris. Great call from Chris. Now I'm fired up. Let the starters play all four quarters.
Exactly.
Let's win this game. No. But, Chris, love the energy, man. Love the energy. See, football is back, Ray. I know it's preseason, but football is back. Seriously, Chris gave me a little bit of a boost there.
Do you want the starters to play for a series now?
I still don't want the starters to play.
Well,
maybe for Chris's sake.
There you see? Chris is going.
I still don't want to see
a whole thing of lager.
Yeah.
I like that he's bringing lager. He's not going to drink that Natty Boh down there. He's bringing Pennsylvania beer.
Yeah, he's seeing one series. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, right. Chris may also be only being in one series tonight, but he's going to have fun. He's got family coming in. This is the best thing about the NFL being back. It is the best time of year. But whether or not the starters play on offense, Ray, because you've been clear, you're with me, you don't want to see the starters play.
Offensive starters.
On offense.
Correct.
Chris just mentioned a couple of the players on defense. Talked about Devin White. I think he talked about Quinyon Mitchell, too. I think he threw in a Mitchell there.
Mm-hmm.
So coming up, let's talk about that because let's take a look at this defense because I look at the offense. I think we're all in agreement. If the starters play, keep it vanilla. We don't need to see much. Clean, efficient football, communication, easy, in and out from the offense. There's a lot more we need to see from this defense tonight because there's a lot more question marks on that defensive side of the football. So we're going to get into that conversation coming up next. I also want to continue the Nick Foles love because we haven't really got into our favorite Nick Foles memories. I have one. Obviously, Super Bowl 52 was everyone's favorite memory, but outside of that, outside of the Philly special and all the great things that Nick Foles did, what are your other favorite Foles memories and your other favorite Philly sports memories? I have one for Nick Foles that didn't even happen in the playoffs that I will never forget. So we'll get into all of that coming up next here on Middays.
How's everyone doing?
Nick Foles.
You got it.
We're doing well. If I turn my mic on, we'd be doing even better.
That no one knows.
So yesterday, the news broke while we were on the air that Nick Foles was calling it a career. The Eagles are going to honor him at their home opener. Well, their first game at Lincoln Financial. Technically, their home opener's in Brazil, but doesn't count. And we were remembering a lot of stuff that Nick Foles did here in Philadelphia. One of the wackiest careers you'll ever see from any athlete, let alone a Philadelphia sports athlete. Ray put it best in a tweet that he can't wait to have to explain it to a younger generation, the career of Nick Foles.
Can't.
It's wild. The dude had more touchdowns in 2013 in the regular season than he had any other regular season touchdowns for a non-Eagles team throughout his career.
He also has a game where he
Doesn't
threw
make any
7
sense.
touchdowns,
Yeah.
and only Peyton Manning has done it. It's like the weirdest damn things. Super Bowl MVP, all these crazy stuff. But my favorite Foles memory outside of the Super Bowl run was his first win ever as a starter in Philadelphia. You got to go all the way back to 2012 in Tampa. I was actually there. I was visiting my cousin. We went to the game. Nick Foles completed an 11-point comeback and threw a game-winning touchdown to Jeremy Maclin as time expired. Do you remember that?
Front corner of the end zone.
And I remember thinking, man, this kid may have
Look
something.
at this. Big guy.
Who is this kid? And then he ends up having a great season with Chip Kelly going 27-3. And you're thinking maybe he's the future. Nah, we're going to trade him.
Turns out he
Somehow
wasn't.
he comes back
Until
and
he was.
under the radar move is just a backup. The rest is history. What's your favorite Nick Foles memory outside of Super Bowl 52? You have one?
I really enjoyed. There's several plays, but it was the Vikings NFC title game. Because during that, because there was some leading up to that, the beginning of those playoffs, they faced the Falcons, I think, first. There was a little bit of like he had a little dicey towards the end of the regular season when he started filling in for Carson Wentz, and you thought, is this guy going to really do it? The Vikings game was ridiculous. It was a ridiculous game. And I thought the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl. But he had a flea flicker in that game. I'm always a sucker for a flea
Torrey
flicker.
Smith, right?
Yes. I'm a sucker for it anyway. But a Nick Foles flea flicker was something that stuck out when I watched that game.
Raymond?
That's so funny because we did a little bit something like this last night. That was exactly where I went with it.
The flea flicker?
Yes. I will go to a different play for what it means for me. And there is one person in my life. You're being too kind to the fan base, by the way, with saying there was a little uneasiness. People were calling for Nate Sudfeld.
We were nervous.
Nate Sudfeld.
You got to remember, that was because they had 2 really tough games. It was the Raiders and the Cowboys. Didn't they lose 9-0 against the Cowboys right before
he
the
looked
playoffs?
very shaky.
It was similar to what we're talking about right now, playing a series.
Yeah.
They brought him out just to play a series. I think he threw an interception in that series, and it was like, well,
right.
we're cooked.
That's it.
Yeah. It was the Raiders Christmas
6-0
Day.
they lost to the Cowboys. Yeah, the Raiders, they ended up winning that game 19-10.
Ugly and very cold weather.
138 passing yards that game.
Yeah, and then he threw an interception the one series against the Cowboys, and it was like, well,
that's it.
It's Nate Sudfeld time.
Yes.
And Nate Sudfeld scored 0 points. Whatever. It's fine. Move past it.
We've moved past.
We were all, as a fan base, freaking out. There's one person in my life that when Carson Wentz went down actually believed that I will give credit forever that thought Nick Foles would do it, that thought Nick Foles could do it. He's crazy. He's a crazy man. I love the guy. One of my best friends in the world. The reason why he sticks out in my mind in this conversation, because there's one play that he'll show time and time again. It's the game-winning touchdown to Golden Tate against the Bears.
Yes.
The
go-ahead
only
touchdown.
play that Golden Tate ever made.
Correct.
In a Philadelphia Eagles uniform.
My friend, when he celebrated one of his birthdays, we went to Morgan's Pier. The guy had a little bit. This is someone that does not indulge very often. He had one too many. Was going up to people at Morgan's Pier with the video of Foles throwing the game-winning touchdown, just showing people. And this is
birthday man.
Over the last couple of years. Like, this was probably 2022 time. Wow. So this has been a while since it happened, and he was just so happy about that moment in his slightly inebriated state that he was showing people, you remember this? You remember this? Yeah, we all remember it. We love it. It was great. So that moment will always stick out in my mind because of my friend who was the one that believed in Nick Foles all along.
Always believed in him. It's the weirdest career you'll ever see of any athlete. And then I was excited for him when they gave him an opportunity in Jacksonville. So Eagles move on, decide to go all in on Carson Wentz.
With Doug again.
He goes to Jacksonville, and he has one throw, and then, no, it wasn't Doug.
Oh, that's right. It wasn't Doug. It was before Doug got
It wasn't Doug yet. And he breaks his collarbone in, was it week 1 or week 2? And that's when Minshew Mania takes over. It was like the guy just could never find it as a true starter. But let's go to the phones, because Sean from Media has a Nick Foles memory. What's up, Sean?
Hey, what's up, guys? Ladies, guys, how you guys doing?
It's all-inclusive, Sean. You're good.
Thank you so much. Is this D?
It's Amy.
Amy, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Your voice sounds so much like D. Lonham sometimes. It's like crazy.
Sure.
But it's awesome. But so anyway, so I'll never forget that game. So I used to have season tickets for ever. Back in the vet, 700 level, went to the link, everything. And then so we ended up, going forward to the NFC Championship game. And just that whole season was, we thought Carson Wentz was the truth, the answer, everything. Everything happened. Then the Falcons game, oh, my God. It was like, we believe in it. So I'd called a local friend of mine who takes some wagers on games, and I said, we're going to win this game, $3,000. I'm paying $3,000. Bang, done. I had my face painted up, the whole 9 yards, and then they went right down the field, the Vikings did, and scored a touchdown. I said, oh, my God, you got to be kidding me. And then we went 3 and out the next drive after that. I said, that's it. So I walked down out of my seats, and I was just staring outside. I said, maybe I should just jump. No, I'm not going to jump. And all of a sudden, I heard the stadium erupt because Patrick Robinson had that interception, ran it all the way back, and that's what transformed the whole entire game, and that was it.
The rest was history, Sean. The rest was history. And Nick Foles was lights out from that point forward all the way until the end of Super Bowl 52. Some great, great memories. But we also threw out the question today, and we'll get more of your text on this coming up. Outside of Nick Foles' memories, in light of the fact that the Philly special is one of the best memories we've ever had here in Philadelphia, what are some other really memorable Philly sports moments? So you can get in on that. Send us a text, 610-632-0975. We'll get those texts later on in the show. When we're talking about the Eagles, let's talk about the preseason game tonight, because it does appear that the starters will play at least a series. But even if the starters don't play on offense, there's a lot of people we need to still see on defense.
Yeah.
Let's start at that linebacker position, Amy. Devin White, if he does in fact play tonight, what do you want to see from him? Because for me, I want to see him really become the field general of that defense. Take it over. Be the leader.
That's the thing. You got the green dot on your helmet. I need to see that. You have to be the quarterback of that defense. Linebacking play has long been a thorn in the Eagles' side on the defensive front. We all know that. It's always been something. Oh, how's the linebackers going to be? Last year, the bar was very low for them to be better than that core last year. Those guys, they tried different people. Nicholas Morrow and whatever, they're all gone. So this is now a completely remade linebacking core, and you have the defensive coordinator saying specifically, inside linebacker is a very important, maybe the most important position right now in the way that they have it set up scheme-wise on the offensive side. So he's put a lot of importance on a guy, Devin White, who has won a championship with the Buccaneers. He was a former captain with the Buccaneers. But he's also a guy that got benched last year.
Yes.
Okay, and then you have a guy in Zach Bond who's played very limited inside linebacker as far as snaps. So it's interesting to me. That's when I look at what I need to see from Zach White. Zach White.
You combined them.
Yeah, I did. They're the same guy now. I need to see them get on the same page together and make themselves one human. So Devin White needs to be able to communicate well enough that there is no breakdown of that linebacking core and that they do recognize what's coming over the middle when it comes to the offense.
Now, I'm with you on what we need to see from Devin White, and I do understand some of the value you could get from playing Devin White tonight because of the communication with Vic Fangio. If you haven't heard, Vic Fangio will be calling defenses from upstairs. He's not going to be down on the sidelines. So that'll be nice to see them go through those levels of communication, how Fangio calls in the defense and then how Devin White communicates it to the rest of the squad. But God forbid Devin White goes down. We think we're thin at linebacker now. That's why I don't know if I want to even risk Devin White playing tonight, whereas I understand there's a value there. There's no guarantee. I'm not completely sold on Devin White. I need to see it on the field. But there's no denying that when you look at this linebacker core, Devin White is head and shoulders above any other player you have at that position. Ray, I don't know if I need to see Devin White tonight.
Nah, I need to see him. Sorry, buddy. Hey, listen, if you had played your way into a big contract, yeah, absolutely. You take the night off. I understand if they don't play Bryce Huff tonight because, he's played his way to a big contract. I'd like to see him because if he wasn't ready to do what he needs to do, let's see if he can go out there and at least execute on that for maybe a series or so. But Devin White, you're here on a $4 million contract because you need to prove it. Mm-hmm. And part of proving yourself is going out there and showing that from the first game. Okay, there are guys here that have got massive contracts, that have proven what they are in this league, and have proven what they are with the Eagles. Devin White showed you what he was in this league at first. But he's not with the Eagles because of what he's accomplished. He's with the Eagles because of what he hasn't.
I agree with you, but are you really going to learn that in one series?
I don't think I'm learning that in one series, but I want to see him start to take the steps towards that. I want to see him get out there on the field with this group to begin this preseason, really, to begin this season.
I don't need to see Devin White, but I can understand both of your arguments on why you would want to see him. But there are some other players on the defense that I absolutely don't need to see play a snap today. That would certainly be Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. He's not healthy anyway, so you're not going to see him. Wouldn't have wanted to see him anyway. Darius Slay, no reason to him to step foot on the field. Defensive end is where I think we're going to disagree. I don't need to see Bryce Huff play tonight. You know what you have in Bryce Huff. You're hoping he can do it for more snaps. You're hoping he can become also a good player against the run, which you haven't necessarily seen before. But I don't need to risk him getting hurt tonight. He's guaranteed to be one of your starters this year. So Ricky Bo's peeking in, Amy, by the way. He's trying to get your attention.
Hi, Bobo.
Ricky Bobo in the house. But I don't need to see Bryce Huff. You want to see him tonight, too?
I'm on record. I see.
Amy wants everybody.
Just play them all. It's only a series. I get the injury concern. I'm not that worried about one series of play if injuries should be able to, take it away. Like, I can't play these guys because they might get injured because they're only going to play one series. It's one series. Yes, they could get injured at training camp. So this is a little bit more resemblance of football, and I need to see those guys, especially on the defense. More so than anybody else, all of them.
And you want to see Jalen Carter,
Jordan Davis.
I don't need to see all those guys.
Devin White, Zach Bond.
Now the younger
Mitchell.
Yes, I'm going to go with you on that. The
Isaiah
younger
Rodgers,
players,
put them out there.
Rodgers should play because it's been a year since he's been.
There you go.
Yes, I'll give you that. I'm okay with Rodgers playing. I'm okay with Quinyon and Keeley. Also, mainly because there's no guarantee at those positions who your starter is.
That's true.
Ricky Bo's causing all types of problems in here now.
Ricky
bothering Ray.
He had never been in that room, and now he's in there for the second time this week.
Bothering everybody.
That's a lie. He's done a good job of sneaking in here before. He's been in
He's the one who told me he's never been in here before.
So if me and Ricky are going up against each other in the battle of the shows, who's going to appear from the morning show in that fight?
Wait, you guys are fighting now?
Yeah, me and Ricky Bo.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a fan fest thing. I think Ricky and Bill. Ricky.
Ricky's scrappy.
Yeah.
Everybody's putting up their toughest host. So it's me. Ray's you're not going to argue with that, Ray?
Do you think I'm going to sign myself up to fight Ricky Bo?
No, I actually don't even want
stupid.
to. I don't want to either.
Listen, I've seen Ricky Bo fight Barry Bonds.
Who's coming from the morning
Ricky
show?
Ricky Bo's way. So
Connor's going to think he's the toughest.
Yeah.
I mean, Andrew and Connor might fight each other trying to figure out who the toughest is, and that would just disqualify that entire show.
So then I get the luxury of having to take on Ricky Bo.
He fought
Barry
Bonds. So.
He did. We were talking about that the other day. Ricky Bo took on Barry Bonds.
He
didn't back down.
I mean, you've met him.
Ricky Bo doesn't back down.
Yeah, you acting like I'm going to be offended by you taking one up with Ricky Bo. Like, please, go ahead. Fight him on behalf.
But I agree. Voodrew on our YouTube chat said Ray has that scrapper in him.
Oh, yeah, I could be scrappy, but if I don't have to be, if you're signing yourself up to do it, what am I going to... Okay. Thanks, Bill.
Good job. Watch him go to the sideline.
You go do that. Yeah, I'll go somewhere else.
I'm going to be the hold me back guy with Ricky. Hold me back, Ray.
Hold me back.
I'm not holding you back, man.
Hold me back.
You just asked for it. He was standing here. You started talking about fighting.
That's right.
Anyway.
True.
We digress. Talking about the Philadelphia Eagles tonight. Ray, I'm okay with the youngsters playing at the corner position. I'm excited to see Quinyon Mitchell. I hope the moment's not too big for him, which I don't think it will be. Everything you've heard about this guy is even though he's come from Toledo, not playing against the best players in college football, he has not looked like that in camp going against NFL players. A.J. Brown he's been battling with. Devontae Smith he's been battling with. I'm looking forward to seeing him doing it now against the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to that. I also think when we look at what you're going against tonight, defensively, I'd like to see them pop a little bit if they're playing the starters and Josh Johnson's out there. Like, I don't need you guys to house a pick six, and I don't need, 3 sacks consecutively. I don't need Josh Johnson getting, 2022 NFC Championship flashbacks. But I would prefer if, the defense pops a little bit.
Yeah.
Hey, Quinion Mitchell jumps in front of route, maybe knocks one away. Or, they're doing a good job. It's going to be a vanilla defense. I'm not expecting a ton out of it. But I would like to see a little bit of the upside of this defense, the athleticism, some of the more, physical traits of this defense show up when we watch them tonight, because it's not Lamar Jackson. And I don't know how much of their guys they're actually going to have out there. So if you're going to play your guys, I hope your guys pop a little bit. I'm not going to freak out if they don't. I'll be a little, I'll be, I'll probably have a moment where I'm like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
But that's where I want to see out of my defense.
I still don't want to see any of them play. I'm still there. I was talking with Tyrone off the air about
Except
it, too.
for the young guys.
Yeah, I could see the younger guys, the ones who've never played at the NFL
And
level.
you wanted to see Isaiah Rodgers.
Isaiah Rodgers, who was suspended all of last year.
Would you want to see Zach Bond?
Yes, definitely want to see Zach Bond.
So not a younger guy.
No, here's basically what I'm thinking. And I said this earlier. If the position, you already know who the starter is, that player shouldn't be there. So every single player on offense outside of right guard and wide receiver 3 shouldn't play.
Okay.
So Johnny Wilson, I think Paris Gamble's still battling the groin.
John Ross.
But those types of players, John Ross, Britton Covey, I'm okay seeing them. And Mekhi Becton, Tyler Steen, if he's healthy, I don't think Steen's going to be activated tonight. But those types of players, I'd be okay because they're still battling for positions. You go to the defensive side of the ball. Devin White has been the starting linebacker every single practice so far. Don't need to see him. Zach Bond, the Kobe Dean, you guys are battling for a linebacker spot. I want to see them both. Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat, Bryce Huff, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, they're your starters along that defensive line. Don't need to see you. Nolan Smith, probably want to see you a little bit because I still think you're trying to prove that you belong at the NFL level. Same thing as with Darius Slay. I don't need to see Reed Blankenship either. God forbid one of those safeties gets hurt. You have nobody at safety. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's already on the injured list right now, battling that shoulder. You know who should be your starting safeties all night, Ray?
Who's that?
James Bradbury, Avonte Maddox. Throw them back there. Let's see what we got. Let them play at least a half together.
Wow. So, half.
Yeah.
I mean, Bradbury's going to have to be out there.
His is a tryout.
Well, he's playing for a job. If you're playing for a job or you're playing for a starting position, you should be out there. If you already have that job locked up, then you shouldn't be. That's the way I look at the preseason.
Bill, I think, though, you talk about these safeties. If you throw Reed Blankenship out there, if he's out there and, if something were to happen at safety, you might get your wish for what they want, what you want them to do, and that's pick up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
If they look at this secondary, I don't think you should, CJ being banged up, fine. Reed Blankenship, I don't imagine, if they're playing the starters, I think he'll play, but I don't imagine it's going to be, I imagine he'll get the starter treatment because, again, who do you have back there?
Right.
No, he's 100% a starter right now.
Right. And he's going to get the treatment of one, I'm saying.
Even though, here you go.
He might be
Try
one that
out
I'd
there
be
for a little bit,
hey,
you're out.
I'd like to see you out there a little bit more. Let's get some work in for you. They might look at after this game at oh, man.
A little thin.
GJ's already banged up. This James Bradbury guy that we thought was cooked is cooked. Avonte might stub his toe. You could end up in a situation where they have to make that call sooner and the call that you want them to make.
Yeah.
So, maybe they don't play Reed Blankenship, but I think tonight they will play Reed Blankenship since they're playing stars. I keep working in this world where I'm getting what I want, and I'm not. I'm just not getting what I want.
Yeah, I keep acting like that, too. Yeah, don't play these guys, don't play those guys, but if Jeff McClain's right, they're all going to play.
That's what he says. The plan is to play the starters, at least a series.
So we want to hear from you. First off, how do you feel about the starters playing a series? Do you agree with it or not? You can get in on that conversation, 610-632-0975. Send us a text. And if they do play, What are you looking for? What are you hoping to see? What are you hoping to learn by them playing a series maybe a little bit longer depending on how it goes? Because that's the reason I don't want them to play. I don't think you're going to learn much against a vanilla defense or even a vanilla offense that doesn't have Lamar Jackson in it. You're not learning much by putting your players out there and risking them to injury. But we'll continue that conversation coming up next. And there is one guy on the defense who's not a starter that I'm really excited to see play tonight because maybe we have something that we don't even realize we have on this roster. I'll explain coming up next. Welcome back to Middays. Bill Colarulo, Amy Fadul, Ray Dunn behind the glass. Taking you up till 2 o'clock when the best show ever takes over. Tyrone Johnson, Ricky Patalico. Definitely going to want to keep it here the rest
Ray.
of today. Oh, Ray, you're hanging for the best show ever.
That I am.
So it makes it the best show ever.
Double duty for
Double
Raymond
duty.
Dunn.
So shout out to our own Dylan McKinnon. A real foxhole move here. And I rip this guy incessantly. Dylan and I have mostly a hate relationship. The two of us go back and forth a ton. But today, he came in here around like noon. He's like, hey, man, going to go to a place up the street, get some food. I know you're pulling a double. You want me to pick you something up?
He's a class act.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
So if I don't talk again, it's because I'm starving and I'm about to eat the food that's been put in front of me.
But that's coming on the heels of him also bringing in fresh donuts for everybody this morning.
He's on a roll. He is trying to make up for yesterday. I tweeted about the whole, 2-year anniversary thing, and he quote tweeted my job announcement with, this was the biggest mistake we ever made.
He's trying to make up for it. But
yeah.
Call him Butter because he's on a roll.
Wow.
Don't bail him out. Just let the silence happen.
You know what? I should lol to that.
Oh, little lol action.
I'm going to go eat my food now.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That was like
Well, I'm not going to
epic dad. That high dad energy with that.
I know. I am with that. But I'm not going to let Ray eat because we need to get an update on our Twitter poll results, Ray.
That we do. We need to get back to that Twitter poll in which we have had running throughout the entire show. We're talking about how much you're interested in watching tonight's preseason game. We got 35% of the people saying they're watching none of it at all. 24% saying the entire game. The first half making some gains here. 20% of people.
Ooh.
But 21% for the first quarter. So you go none at all, followed by the entire game, followed by first quarter, and then first half. A lot of hatred for that second quarter, I guess. You just one quarter was too much.
That's a bridge too far.
I don't understand how you don't do the full first half if you're doing the first quarter. But hey,
You already locked it.
maybe you got plans tonight. Maybe,
It's Friday night.
it's a Friday night.
Maybe you're driving to the shore.
Maybe you are.
It's a little
Who's
rainy.
to say?
Some people commented under that Twitter poll just until the Phillies game starts.
Yeah, that's 2 hours. That's like the first half.
Our guy Uncle Frank
Plus.
checked in on the text line and said that
Way to go, Uncle Frank.
he's watching until the Phils start.
All right. I feel
And
like
then
that's
during
like a
commercials.
Good to hear
bit
from him.
longer.
I
It's
heard
nice to
from
hear
Uncle
from
Frank in a little
Yeah.
while. Missed that guy.
We might have had a
Is,
call last week.
Is Green Day in town?
Yeah, they're
Yes.
playing Citizens Bank Park. That's a great lineup, by the way, if you're for people that are going to that concert.
Brandon Gunn's going.
Is he?
Yeah, I think so.
He's got to be on the air tomorrow morning. Brendan Gunn's getting his first Saturday morning shift. He better make it an early night.
Oh, it's going to be an early night, I'm sure. Brandon Gunn going out late. Pff, that doesn't sound like him.
We built quite a following on our Saturday morning show, Brendan. Don't let us down, and I don't think he will. If you haven't listened to Brendan Gunn yet, he's doing a great job. So he'll be on tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., reacting to the Phillies and the Eagles tonight.
Both.
But as we talk about the Eagles, for those 65% who are going to watch some of it, because 35% aren't watching any of it, the 65% who are watching it, there is one player that we don't talk about on that defense that I'm excited to see tonight. And give credit to our Birds insider, Andrew DeCecco, because he wrote a great article for Inside the Birds about some players to watch tonight, and he references this player. We keep looking at where is all the pressure going to come from on the defense. And we talk about Nolan Smith and Bryce Huff, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham. But outside of those four edge rushers, where else are you going to get pressure from? Well, interestingly, there's a fourth-year player named Patrick Johnson who's really just been a special teams guy, hasn't really got a lot of reps, hasn't played a lot to start his career. Amy, he put on 10 pounds of lean muscle mass, reduced his body fat to 17%. This is coming from Andrew DeCecco. And during one-on-ones and team drills has really stood out all training camp. That's a guy I'm looking out for tonight because if he can do this against the Ravens, you may have another pass rusher on this roster that we're not even talking about because the deeper you are, the deeper you're able to rotate guys through and keep them fresh. Kind of what you saw back in 2022 when you had 70 sacks, you had all these guys contributing. Maybe Patrick Johnson's a guy who can help with that.
I mean, listen, we're talking about different positions and how thin they are beyond the starters. I think you can include more than just the linebackers, more than just the safety. I think there's every position in this one, certainly on the defensive side, where you had such glaring holes. and a lack of really any kind of energy. And when you watch that defense, especially towards the end when everything really went sideways, there wasn't any kind of pressure. There wasn't any kind of energy. There wasn't any kind of emphasis on like trying to get something going. It was a lot of hanging their heads. And I know things were going wrong, but there wasn't that. So if you have somebody like, let's say Patrick Johnson, who is a special teamer and has not been able to crack in any kind of meaningful way. I mean, I don't know what his numbers, but I'm looking, what 30, 40 tackles probably in his entire NFL career total. If he's a guy that you could have do something, so when you need to spell a guy, or if whoever's out there normally is not doing their job, all right, well, here's a guy that's going to give you a little energy, going to like do whatever it is that it takes to get to the quarterback, come off that edge, and put a lot of pressure out there on the offense. It certainly can't hurt, but I know that he's been around a while. I feel like he's been with the Eagles for like 4 years.
This is his 4th season.
There you go.
Yep.
So, I mean, there's something to be said for that. They obviously enjoy what he does on the special teams, and they probably think he's got some kind of, maybe up until this point, raw talent to come off the edge, and maybe it's finally coming to fruition. I mean, that's good on him. I mean, in a league where the average career is under 4 years, he's obviously shown enough that they believe in him to be a part of this team.
And for a seventh rounder, usually seventh rounders don't last this long. So the fact that he has and was mainly a special teamer, I'm looking at his snap counts from previous years. He did get some playing time on defense 2 years ago, played about 20% of the snaps, 213 snaps in 16 games. But last year...
Do you have his totals on tackles?
Let's see what we got.
Sorry, I just didn't know if you had it up.
I do.
You don't have to look it up.
He's got tackles, 17 his rookie season, 11 in 22, 7 last year. So not much.
Oh,
as
it's
far
like under
as
30.
Yeah, 0 sacks.
Well, there's not a lot of
couple of hurries. So this is something where he's really going to have to show us something. He may make the team because of his special teams ability, but I know they keep looking for more depth along the edge. Maybe he can provide it. But this 1 o'clock hour on The Fanatic is brought to you by Ferguson HVAC Lyon Conklin. Attention HVAC contractors. For equipment, parts, and supplies for every heating and cooling job, visit one of Ferguson's counter locations in Bensalem, King of Prussia, Pennsauken, or Westchester. All right, Ray and Amy, want you now to think. Brendan Gunn comes to the mic tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. after tonight's Ravens preseason game. What player, after tonight's performance, is going to be getting all types of phone calls? This guy's got to be a starter. This guy's going to be a future star. Who you going with that's going to shine tonight, that's going to have all these people unreasonably excited? Ray, you got somebody in mind?
Griffin Herbert. No, I'm just kidding. It's going to be Will Shipley. I have just a feeling this preseason is going to be a Will Shipley show. You're going to miss the blocks he misses. You're not going to be tuned into, oh, wow.
You're going to be all locked in.
You're going to be like, oh, wow, he broke away for a run. He made a big run. All right, I like that. Oh, he caught that one out of the backfield, turned it upfield, and got 15 yards. All right, Danny Woodhead is on the roster.
Danny Woodhead. That's who Nick Sirianni compared him to. Yes, there's going to be a lot of excitement about Will Shipley. The only thing that's going to temper that excitement, Ray, is that everyone's just as excited for Saquon Barkley, so you're not going to have a lot of calls for Will Shipley.
Well, I bet this guy could play slot receiver.
That's probably where you're going to go.
It's going to be Johnny Wilson.
Yes, Johnny Wilson for sure.
That's the one. Because they've heard about him, but you can't really see him because you can't film that part of practice, so you haven't really been able to see him. You're going to see this giant guy line up there, and they're going to be enamored with whatever Johnny Wilson does. If he makes a grab for a touchdown, forget it. Phone lines lit up.
Yeah, Johnny Wilson for sure is going to be one. You guys took 2 from me.
Sorry.
You took
asked us
2
first.
from me. So then I'll go with the same position as Johnny Wilson. John Ross is going to make a big play tonight.
I hope so. I like the story of John Ross.
John Ross isn't making this team.
No, but I like the story.
No, he stinks.
You don't like the story?
I do like the story. He comes out of retirement, says he did it for his family. The problem is you look at John Ross's numbers. He's had plenty of opportunities in this league. Played 5 seasons, and in 5 seasons, he only has 62 catches, 957 yards. No, that's not an average per season. That's total over 5 seasons, 62 catches, 957. But it is a good story, Amy. And maybe he's a guy, we make a big play in the preseason.
Someone else.
And somebody else wants you.
I think that's absolutely, he's that type of play.
But yeah, Johnny Wilson.
Guy. player.
John Ross, send us a text. Who do you think's going to be that guy Brendan Gunn's talking about this morning that nobody else was thinking about, that now all of a sudden is going to be, he's got to be a starter? And speaking of starters, Ray, we threw out the question earlier, are you happy that the 76ers, where'd that come from? Are you happy that the Eagles are going to play some starters tonight? And we opened it up to the text board. What do we got? People want it or no? They with us?
We got a cannot disagree with you guys more. Nothing shows how things are going better than actual playing time. They're not made of glass.
Okay. I got almost an identical
guys.
text. He's talking to me
Not
and Ray.
Me.
I got almost an identical text from my dad. If these guys are that fragile that they can't play in the preseason game because they might get hurt, then they don't belong in the NFL. What's the purpose of the preseason? To hone your skills and get ready for the regular season. So along the same lines as that texter. What are you really going to learn, though, when your offense is going up against a completely vanilla defense that hasn't game planned for you? They haven't game planned for Jalen Hurts. They haven't designed any sort of blitz packages for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense. So everything that we're excited to see about this new look offense, well, how are they going to pick up the blitz? How are things going to work with Jalen Hurts and Cam Jurgens adjusting blitz protections at the line of scrimmage? None of that is applicable to what you're going to see tonight because they're not game planning for the Philadelphia Eagles. So for me, the risk reward of potentially getting injured just isn't there when you're not going to get a true look at what the team will look like week one because the opponent is not giving you a true look. Amy, that's my position on this.
Totally understand. It's going to be all vanilla. Even more reason just to get them on out there. It's vanilla. You're not going to be rushing the quarterback to the degree that you would in a regular season game. You're not going to be running. Jalen Hurts isn't to the degree of the regular season game. Let's just see some semblance of football and see how everything looks, even in its most vanilla, basic form. One series. I just don't think that that's too much to ask. But apparently it is. Apparently it's too much.
It is.
It's a risk
way
reward.
too much.
For you.
It's way too much for me to
For
ask.
you and for you.
It
I
is
can't
risk
wait.
reward, Ray. It's a risk reward analysis.
Tonight at 6, when Bill and Andrew take to the air to do the pregame show for this game, Andrew, who has been team Let's See Him Play.
Oh, we're going to battle on the
and Bill,
pregame show.
who might as well say that Jalen Hurts ought to have not gotten on the bus down to Baltimore.
Don't even need to show up.
Those two colliding tonight is going to be a fun hour and a half.
Bill wants them to be duped.
Yes, I do. I want this all to just be.
That's where you lose me.
I want this to be a bait and switch by Nick Sirianni. Tell my players they're playing. Get them to warm up like they're playing, and then tell them in the locker room right before they come out, hey, I was just kidding, guys. Just wanted you to have to go through pregame warm-ups. You're good to go. Take off your shoulder pads. Come out in the jerseys. No shoulder pads for anybody.
So I'm not doing a good enough job.
No.
Man, this new drop board that Ray has for me with Sirianni, not loving it, Ray. Not loving it.
That's the funny thing that makes me chuckle.
That makes me chuckle. He lolled.
It's not going to work, man.
Anyway.
Stop making fetch happen.
All right. Because Nick Foles retired yesterday, we spent a lot of time talking about some great Nick Foles memories, but we also opened up the text board to our favorite Philly sports memories in general, because the Philly special certainly is up there for a lot of people. But we opened up the text board and said, what are your favorite Philly sports memories of all time? We're going to go through that list coming up. We got a lot of texts on it and see if they got them all, because they may have missed some, Ray. But we'll get to all those Philly sports memories coming up next. Welcome back in the middays. We got you until 2 o'clock before we turn things over to the best show ever. And this is the last midday show called the Midday Show.
I'm glad I was here for the last one.
Because on Monday, the Mike Missinelli Show will kick off.
You'll be there.
I'll be there. Ray Dunn will be there. It's going to be a great show. Appreciate that, Amy. And appreciate you. Hoping that we get to work together again soon.
I'll pop up.
Amy's going to be doing more for the Fanatic. We'll get all that to you when that all gets planned out. But the new midday show kicking off on Monday, the Mike Missinelli Show, should be a lot of fun. And what else has been a lot of fun, could have been more fun, is being a Philly sports fan for the last 41 years. For Ray, for the last 16 years. 12. Happy 16th birthday, buddy.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
And for Amy, when you came here, you became a big Philly sports fan.
And I was already a Phillies fan to a degree. My grandma, even though she was a big Braves fan, she loved Mike Schmidt, so we would still.
Gotcha.
But yes.
So you've been here. You're an adopted Philadelphian now. You've been here longer than a lot of people.
16 years almost.
And does a great job.
Well, thanks.
On NBC Sports Philadelphia and for us here at the Fanatic. But during those times, during your 16 years here, during my 41 years on this earth, during Ray's 24 years, is that right, Ray? 24.
Correct.
That's correct.
There's been a lot of great Philadelphia memories. Not as many as we all hoped. But with Nick Foles retiring, giving us probably the best Philadelphia memory of my life, Super Bowl 52, we threw out the question to everyone for the text board. What are your favorite Philly sports memories over the years? Ray, what do we got on the text board?
Amy, this one feels like it's directly for you.
Yes.
This is a sicko moment right here for someone. They're saying this one's off the beaten path. It's Stephen Haverton saying the 10-72 Sixers taking the 73-9 Warriors to the brink.
Yeah, that one is sicko.
That's absolutely. Those are my people, and I appreciate them.
I think Amy texted that during the break. What else we got?
I'm surprised it wasn't another one of my friends that I think would also say that's one of his favorite memories. Andrew in Georgia checking in. The J-Roll 2009 walk-off double said had a newborn baby at the time and was doing the quietest celebration that he possibly could pull off.
That was a good one. I remember losing my mind. I was watching that with my grandparents. God rest my grandfather's soul. But that's who taught me how to watch Philadelphia sports and all the agony that comes with it. But that was a fun one to watch. What else we got? Let's go rapid fire on these. These are good.
Jeremy in Washington Township. Stairs ripping one into the night.
Oh, deep into the night.
You know what's funny about that? Off air, we were talking to Ricky Batalico about Weston Wilson. And the comparison was made. Could Weston Wilson deliver? Was that you that made the comparison, Ray?
Yeah, Weston Wilson's got a Matt Stairs moment in him. He does. The dude could barrel a baseball. I'm not asking for him to start every game, but I'm telling you, if the guy comes up and they throw a pitch down the middle of the plate, Weston Wilson can barrel a baseball. He's got a Matt Stairs moment in him, not a Matt Stairs career. You looking at me like that, Amy? I'm going to pull this audio. When Weston Wilson has his Matt Stairs moment in October, we'll celebrate together.
Bookmark it, Ray.
I'll bring the Mad Dog.
Yes.
Bookmark it.
Orange Jubilee, of course.
Yes, of course. What other one would I get?
Let's keep them going. What else we got on the
One
memories?
more, Robert at the shore here. I was fortunate enough to have been at the second level of the spectrum, directly above the basket in the 1980 NBA Finals when Dr. J went out of bounds and walked in the air around the basket. Still the most amazing thing I've ever seen in person at a game.
Wow. I wish I was alive for it. Still haven't seen the 76ers win an NBA title.
You haven't seen him go past, you've only seen him once go past the second round.
And that my best Sixers memory was being at the Wells Fargo Center, which I guess was the Core State Center at the time. I'm trying to remember. It's changed names so many times.
It's going to change again.
And it's changing again. But being there when they won the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 7, and then celebrating there. I was in high school. I was 18, and I just vividly remember them playing Elton John's Philadelphia Freedom, and we were going nuts. That was a great memory. What do you got? We got about
Roy Halladay's perfect game in 2010 for me.
I thought that one would come up.
That was that, and then or you could take the no-hitter.
Yeah.
Either of those in 2010. For me, Roy Halladay had long been one of my favorite baseball players when he was with the Blue Jays, and seeing him in a Phillies uniform was just one of the greatest things. I was just beyond excited. And then to watch him perform on the stage that he did and just step up he's still my favorite Philly. It's not even close.
You got one, Ray?
Grand Slam Victorino.
Oh, great one.
Was that against CC Sabathia?
Yeah, and
Yes.
then also Get Me the Plate Boys if we want to start rolling.
Oh,
rapid
I love
fire
Get Me
these.
to the Plate, boys.
Yes, I think I was at the bank for
Get Me to the Plate.
Victorino's
boys.
Grand Slam.
Get Me to the Plate is underrated.
Well, let's hope this time next year we're talking about a lot more of our favorite memories. That includes the Sixers, the Eagles, the Phillies, and maybe Michkov's debut. But we'll get into all of that throughout the year. But coming up next, the best show ever. Keep it here. And then tonight, 6 o'clock, our pregame show, me and Andrew Salciunas. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Have a great weekend.